Nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.
This story they just walk the street is 999. Movements underneath the feet. That don't find. Come to me like a devil down the face. You time to feel so face. Time to get too late. Everything I said. Responsibility, you free to supersedes. No, the left foot, humans, and maybe some children will be born off. That's really on the common pride. Mom won't slow. Too bad couldn't see. Please leave her day. And now the final scene. What the dog day? The miles of bubble and ruins. Tolerate, no more head from our plane. No one free. We're not serious, not on the other side. We're not survivors. everybody welcome. Nelson Wallace, single
an expert biologist, and when this handsome fellow isn't traveling across the world doing research, he's at home cooking a great meal?
But yeah, that's all true, but Sancho, where did you get that?
An excellent assistant knows how to write an excellent introduction. You got it, boss.
Or taking a long walk on the beach? Who wrote this mess?
Welcome to the to Plungecast. I was like trying to think of something witty to say. I was like, I don't have anything witty to say. But thank you for joining me today. Welcome to the show. This is Plungecast. This is where we talk about stuff that I think about and I see in the news, and I think it's interesting to talk about. Maybe look into, maybe delve into, maybe research a bit more. So today we got planned, we're going to be talking about the LGBT and Islam, and how I feel personally that they're being clowned on and they don't realize it. Like the basically the gays, right? Let's make it easy on myself, because I'm just going to tongue tie myself every time I say those numbers, letters, right? Or alphabet. So the people of the rainbow, for a while now, have been playing foolish games, in my opinion, and not even in my own opinion, like in the opinion of Muslims themselves, Islamists, people of the Quran, of the Middle East and wherever they are. They feel like, gays are easy to influence, to bring them onto their side and throw them out over the rooftops, when it's not, when they have, when they've outused their usefulness, right? So hopefully, we'll learn something. You'll learn something. I'll learn something. And so let's get on with the show. But the first thing I want to talk about is it's the main thing right now, because with Trump and with the border crossings, and not the border crossing, sorry, the illegal migrants who have been in America for so long. And we're starting to find out, and this is something that Trump said, right, about these people, and that how they've been for a long time, have been causing a lot of deaths, crimes, rape, child abuse in the country. And they get caught and they get released because you can't do nothing about it because of politics. So I just want to look at one person, right? One Indian person, right? This is why I'm talking about bringing this up, because I'm Indian and this guy is Indian as well. So this is actually not Tusi here, not Maya Tusi, but do check out Maya Tusi's channel. I'll put the link to this video so you can see the rest of it. But I just want to bring up this one thing, this little interview that was done by Real America Voices, right? And but there's a lead into that. So let's listen to what Maya is saying here. Right?
I think that the UK government should do with France, but they don't have the bravery as the Americans do. So let's go to the first one, for example. This is from Los Angeles. The LA's ICE agents arrested a foreign fugitive wanted by authorities in El Salvador for homicide, illicit association, and also, let's not forget, terrorist organizations. Lovely, right? This non-citizen is pending removal to his home country. They had to hunt him down, and they managed to do this. There have been some very, very extreme cases as well when it comes to these people. So, for example, a big shout out to Real America's Voice. They've done a great job in terms of the journalism for this. This is from Chicago, and their illegal immigration enforcement operation. They basically
Just a bit of a background, and he'll tell you more, but I just wanted to. So this dude came over at the age of 16 on an F1 visa from India to study in America. Now, you got to be living under a rock if you don't realize that every country in the world has international students. Right? We have them ourselves here in New Zealand. A couple of years ago, when my brother was doing economics business, at university, he's very well established now. But back then, this is around about 2010, 2005, around that time, when he was at uni, he was at the Auckland University, right? Like the main one in Auckland, the city of New Zealand, right? In the North Island. It's about 2.5 hours, 2 hours drive from where I live right now. Now, when it came to exam times, see, because a lot of times you had all these Chinese students whose parents send them over here, the rich parents, right? The poor parents, of course, they'll save up all they can so that, and parents do this all the time. It's not just a Chinese thing. Parents do this all the time. They sacrifice for their kids for better education for them so that they can lead their family out of poverty when they get a good job. Now, so 20 odd years ago, right? Let's say that 15, 20 years ago. My brother was doing this university business course. Like this is like high end shit. Like like about 3-4 years of like hardcore stuff. It's not like because I know I've watched my brother because I've gone into art, right? And my other brother's just gone into engineering, and he was raised in Fiji. My other sister, she's got into she works at a cancer ward now, right? She went through nursing and stuff like that. But this brother, right, who I'm going to be meeting soon in a week or so, he's basically went from one company to the other international renowned companies, right? And so and that's what I'm trying. The reason I'm saying that is because the people who went through these courses would be doing that as well. Now, my brother, right, said that when he was at school, most of the Chinese students wouldn't show up during lectures. However, when it came down for exams or just handing their essays and stuff, they would pay the poor Chinese students money to sit for them in the exams. Of course, the European international teachers had no clue if that was a person sitting there because the name's there on the thing. And that's, and look, to me, most Indians look like me, right? Most Europeans look like me, right? I mean, or look like other Europeans. So there is no racism involved here. But when you really think about it, yeah, they quite look alike, and that's the way it is. That's how nationality works, right? Because if you haven't seen enough, you can't differentiate. Whatever. It is what it is, right? And so they would sign off on them, and they would get higher marks. And then they'll return to their countries or go somewhere else for look for jobs. But these guys never did the work. Now, and I've spoken about this before, there's an actual known cultural thing established in China where if you can cheat. Like it's like there's an actual saying in China, in Mandarin or Cantonese, whatever it is, pronunciation that I've never learned because I find it hard to try to, get tongue twisted. So I try to pronounce it, but that's what it translates to. If you can cheat. And so there were these students at a high level at university when it came to graduation, right? Or go on to doctorates and all that. They're all getting people paying people and other students to do their exams. And so they were getting high marks. Because of course, the poor students most of the time, if you're poor, if you're not part of the membership of the CCP, well, you're poor, right? And you have no legal standing. If you get bullied, you can't do anything about it. And I've been looking into this a lot. And most recently, a young kid in China was murdered, and there was about 1,000 to 10,000 people came and friggin' protested, which is unheard of, over a dead child, because he was at college, at high school, and the kid had been hung. He fell downstairs, broke his neck. No, there was hand marks on it. I think it was hand marks on hung, by a member, by a guy whose parents were part of the leadership, right? The party, the Communist Party. And so nothing could be done about it. So the only thing that people have is protest. And yet they, unlike our idiot Westerners who, protest in the sense of like, I'm going to glue myself to the ground because oil, right? That sort of shit. Or because, I'm going to like chain myself to a tree because, they're going to cut down a tree and they're not going to plant anything. Of course, when we cut down a tree, we planted about 20 or 30 others alongside it because that's how we work in New Zealand. And so it's pretty stupid to see that, right? Because, you need oxygen. This comes from trees, CO2 and all that stuff, photosynthesis. It's been a while since I learned that. But so this kid, right, this guy comes over to America at the age of 16 and he has a fatal accident. Why is this kid driving around in a car at the age of 16 in America when he's on a student visa? And of course, this happens all the time. The other side of the story about the Chinese students is they're driving around in Lamborghinis and stuff like that. And my brother one time goes, well, see those people living down there with those flash cars? They're part of the triad. They're the people who run that street over there. What is it, K Road? I think no, not K Road, but there's a road next to K Road. It's on the top of Simon Street in Auckland, where all the gambling places are run by Chinese people, right? So they go around, you know how it works in mafia, right? So the triad, same thing. Hey, collection day. So yeah.
Caught this guy. This guy was in America on a student visa. He killed a 19-year-old girl, a young girl named Maria, in a DUI crash. And now he wants to be able to stay in the country, right? This is...
one word. F no. Right? No way. At all. You've killed someone on a student visa. You do your time. Great. Thank you. Thank you for doing your time. Now get the hell out. Like, you took a life, dude. I posted about this before on Facebook, and I just said, like, the bleeding hearts will say, well, he did a time, man. Got to give him a second chance. It's like someone said to me on, when I was like, they're talking about people coming across the border. Oh, they have such terrible things happen to them. Well, why come across the border? Oh, they didn't know. Well, what do you mean they didn't know? Didn't they ask anybody what happens to them when the coyotes, when you pay $9,000 American to the coyote to bring you over? Why don't you keep that $9,000 in your hand and stay in your country? Right? Nobody is forcing you to leave your country to come over anywhere else. Like my mom, right, when she got married, she just put when she just decided to leave Fiji, she just put an ad in the paper. Yeah, look, I have a young son, me, 6 years old at that time. I have these, these are my skills. I'm looking for a father for my son, all right, and someone to raise him right and to provide for me and him. And I will work hard. These are my qualifications. And so two guys stood up, replied to her, right, in the newspaper, replied back, and my mom got it. Saw the ad because in Fiji you could get the New Zealand Herald. That's how she wrote to the letter to the editor, right in the back, whatever classified. I don't know what it was, right? But we have that somewhere, all right. My sister a couple of years ago on our parents' anniversary, read it out, and I was like, wow, my mom's letter changed my entire life, entire family's life, extended family's life, just that one letter. And my mom chose between a millionaire and a father, right? So just think about that. My mom wasn't a gold digger. She could have, I could have been living like a millionaire's son right now, right? But my mom decided to choose a father. And yeah, it wasn't an easy life, but man, I'm so glad I did have that life because it's made me who I am today. I think, but the other thing is like, she went the right way through it. She gave the option to the gentleman, right? She didn't jump, didn't get on a boat or hide in the plane like one guy did one time, like in the friggin' wheels of the plane, like in the little, when they put the plane up, there's like a space, but like the wheels up where there's a space in that area of the plane. You know, if I had my toy there, I could show you where it was. But because I was looking at a G.I. Joe, moving a G.I. Joe plane before, and you could see the wheels go up, and there's space there, so you could get some, what do you call it, like practical, whatever they call it. But yeah, that's how my life in New Zealand began. Like, and my mum came here, lived for a year, looking for work, getting established, and then she said, "Okay, let's go get him." Right? Then I came here a year later. It was about 1980 sometime. So what is that, like, about 45 years or something now? But this dude came across on a visa, student visa, right? He came across legally to study with the I think it was the F1, they say, in the US, where you come across to study. That's all you're supposed to do. Come and study. Your parents pay for your fees or for your upkeep. You just come and study. That's all you're supposed to do. Not drive around fast in a car or whatever and kill someone.
The video we have from Real America's Voice, a quick conversation with this man.
Do you mind telling me your name?
Sorry, Pablo.
Where are you from?
India.
India. Want to say anything?
Well, I'm not sure really what's going on, but I deserve a fair chance.
No, you don't.
So I deserve a fair chance. Like, I'm married here, so
That don't mean shit.
if you guys give me a chance.
How long have you been here?
I've been here. I came in 16, in 18. I'm on an F1 visa. So in around 18, I
Oh yeah,
had
so
a
it was like
fatal
18, 2 years later. You
road
could,
crash,
right.
and it ended up me being in prison. And literally 10 days I got out.
10 days ago you got out. How long were you in prison for?
6 years, 9 months. I paid my time. Like,
No, you
I
didn't.
don't know, like,
Dude,
I did something.
He was in there for what? Hold on. Was he in there for 6 months, man? Let me get this friggin' thing up. Like, no, 6 years. He said 6 years, right? Yeah. So around 18, he had a fatal drunk driving, DUI, driving under influence. Right. So he's drunk driving at 18. He kills a 19-year-old girl. Right. I hate that when that happens. Press play.
And it ended up me being in prison. And literally 10 days I got out.
So he's been in prison since 18, got out 10 days ago. So is he saying it's 24? It's pretty bold. He's like me. Like, that's why that's why I usually wear a hat. I don't have a problem with like shaving my head. I shave my head once a month because it's just like, saves. I'm trying to like look horrible, like hair on the sides. It's not.
10 days ago you got out. How long were you in prison for?
6 years.
He was in prison for 6 years for killing a 19-year-old girl. And he deserves a fair shake, as they say, right, in America. I mean, I heard that enough times. We don't say fair shake. We deserve a fair go, mate. That's what we say in New Zealand. We deserve a fair go. No, you don't. You don't deserve shit. You deserve another 24. Actually, to be honest, she was 19 years old. So you deserve another 13 years in prison in maximum. Not general pop because you murdered someone. So not, general probation, which is like the easy, kind of easy. Yeah, you deserve the maximum prison, right? Let's put you out with the hardcores because you're a murderer.
Just 9 months. I paid my time. Like,
No, you only did 6 years, you bitch. You did 6 years. Look at this ugly mutt. All right, you did 6 years. Look at the smile on his face. Look at his eyes. Like, I did 6 years. I paid my dues. You ate well. Look at you. You're healthy. You probably look like me when you came out of India, but like, look at you, right? Paid your dues. Like, you got 3 meals a day for free, right? And you got housing, right? Okay, maybe it's tough. Maybe you got a couple of serfs because Aryan Brotherhood or the Mexican, Mexicans got at you, or maybe the blacks got at you as well. You got all these different gangs. They're all set up their own way and protect you because or maybe you joined the Chinese gangs, right, to keep yourself safe. But you look pretty healthy to me, mate.
I don't know. Like, I did something wrong. I'm sorry.
Oh, you did something wrong. No, you killed a person. That's not something wrong. Something wrong is like you stole something to, eat, right? Oh, you stole a toy, right? When I used to be bad, I used to do that when I was a kid. I should say, when I was a kid, I used to do that. Now I make sure I spend money to make up for that because I don't want bad mojo, bad karma on me. So I'll go and spend more money. I don't even haggle with people, right? Is that what it's called? Cool. Here you go, mate. Not even gonna ask you to go down in price, right? Unless you say, oh, let's talk about it, and I go, okay, well, I don't really have that much, but what can you do for me, right? But if I'm looking at a product and I'm interested, I'm paying what the price is. But if I'm buying a lot, maybe I'll think about, hey, can you give us $1 off or two? But most of the time, I ain't even doing that because guess what? That money that you're handing over is going to add up to pay for somebody else's employment, right? Somebody else's food on the table. So why the fuck am I going to haggle over that shit, right? It's like when I go to Fiji, right? I just can't do that. I really can't. Like, I feel really, really bad. Like in Fiji, if you buy two, they'll drop a couple bucks off. I'm like, yeah, but I want the shirt. I don't really. One time, my auntie comes and goes, no, hold on. Let me take her. I say, no, auntie, I have the money. Because no. If you buy two, you get cheap. I was like, no, I am buying two. Like, no, but like they'll give you less price. I said, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just take my money because I know they don't get the amount of money per hour that we do. And the fact is, that $5 t-shirt, I would have to pay $10 back home, even with the inflation or whatever the exchange rate. So I'm not going to haggle. And then also there is some, in some countries they actually enjoy that because it's part of the whole, it's part of the custom, right? It's like the banter of it all. And I'm okay with it, but I'll still go, here you go, money. Thanks for the conversation and all that. Pretty cool, but here's the full price, right?
Sorry about what I did. I'm not like
Do you know the victim's name? What's their name?
Mariah.
Mariah.
Yeah, you kill Mariah.
Were you here in Chicago when that happened? How old
She
was
was in was it Chi Town? Is that what they call it? Chi Town? Che, whatever, Chi Town. The Chi. Look at that. 6 years ago, this dude killed a girl who was 19 years old. And because she's a female, she would have had children. Or not, maybe like she chose or not. And those children would have had children. And children. And children. Do you get why I always say about why I hate, I don't like people abusing children and why harming children is wrong? Because you basically take away their future and the future of their children to be brought up right because you damage them mentally. And in this case, wiped out the whole generation of human beings. And this is why I want to show you guys this, because the lack of thinking in these people, and especially in the leftist brain. Oh, but he did it 6 years, bro. Please, you gotta let him in. Gotta help him out. He did his time. God, he went in a horrible prison with the gangs and all that. He put himself there, right? By driving drunk and killing someone. Oh, but why? Why do you guys on the left think that way? Like, can you not be like in the middle going, this is wrong? And have common sense to say, no, we should not, we should, sure he did his time, but it's only 6 years and maybe he should be kicked out and do the rest of it over in India, right? Go do the other 13 years so that every day of her life that you took away, you get to pay for in prison. Because, I mean, if it was me, I'd be like, eye for an eye. But, that's not me. I mean, I'm not in charge, right?
She was
19. But you were here on a visa at that point. You said an F1
student.
student. But your visa's obviously lapsed at that point.
When I catch the case, yes.
Yeah.
so he was supposed to go back. His 2 years were over. So then again, he was not, now he was an illegal at this point. He overstayed, right? And I've had family members overstay, and at that time I was like, and now I'm like, damn it, why do you guys, why you guys break the law? And then you want to have like, oh, you want sympathy after breaking the law.
Anything else? That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have now
All right. Let's see if he's going to say anything else to say there.
received the footage from the clashes around it.
Okay, so let me see if I put that in the chat. Yeah, I think that I've got that in the chat already. So the rest of the video is there, and the rest of the video is about actual clashes and the gangs actually shooting at the border police. And this is what like the Biden's, czar, border czar, because she called herself that, and the media called her that. Kamala Harris didn't want anybody to see. All right, the left has never wanted to see that actually their own people have been under fire. Their own people have been raped. Their own people have been abused. Children have been abused and harmed and murdered for the gangs of South American gangs, right? Drug dealers and all that, people smugglers, and people. The one weird thing is like people on the left who come to the center, they still hold on to their left beliefs, right? In the sense that like, oh, we still got to, well, but they had their children here. They came over illegal, right? Send them and their children back. A couple of years ago, like in the 90s, I think it was, like mid 90s, maybe 2000 in New Zealand, we had, I just looked at myself. I'm like, it just took me off. Put me off, right? I was just like, usually I'm always wearing the cap, but today I decided to like wear the wig because I just saw it. Then I was like, let's check it on for this one. I don't wear the wig. It's just a cosplay thing, but I thought it would be funny to have for the stream. Around about 20 years ago in New Zealand, we'd had a lot of China. Like this is when like about 90s. Yeah, because it was like 1990 when China opened up and everybody ran to China because of a lot of cheap labor, and now they're all running back because China doesn't want want the West because they want to take over all their all the money that's been poured in. They just want it for themselves. So then they ripped off everybody by producing like cheap products made off their, like the Lego, right? Like I talked about Lego last time when we were talking about like putting all these stuff up on the shelves and taking down all the, all the action figures. China was making 10 different brands of Lego when they were making Lego. So those cheap brands would be out everywhere with the sharp edges and stuff. So you like, because Lego, when you play with Lego, if you step on them, it hurts, right? But when you put them apart, you don't get the sharp edges. However, all the cheap brands that they're making in the plastic and all that, it'll hurt you if you're playing with it. There'll be like sharp edges. Whereas like with a Lego, it goes under tremendous, quality control because it's the top brand, right? And the Chinese know that as well because Lego is almost like gold to them. It's like if you can afford Lego, you've made it, right? In China, this is because we're doing it like I say, I watch a lot of research videos. I look at all these things to know so that when I talk about it, I have it in my head, right? Do something to say. But yeah, so I was watching this video and they were talking about how in China, if your kid had a Lego, it was he had made it, and other kids would look up to him, and therefore he was somebody in class, right? We do that at school, right? If you had that, if you had Transformers in the 80s, dude, your parents must really love you, man. They must really, you're a precious kid, and that kind of thing, And so, but then they put out all these other rip-off brands, low quality. I mean, I've got like I've got a Star Wars Risk, and because it was a thrift shop, right? And it's like I bought it just for the models, the plastic models, because I don't really care because I I have the real risk. What's it like? Marvel universe, like it costs about $80 to $100 or something. My brother bought it for me a while back, and because I'm a huge Risk player, right? Haven't for a while, but it's one of my favorite games. And one of the things, part of that's actually that and Monopoly is two of my favorite games, has influenced me wanting to make a game for myself for one of our upcoming comic books that we're working on right now. Issue 2 is actually being penciled, and issue 3 is being colored, right? I mean, issue 1's being colored, called Zoolandia, and I've talked about that, right? Which I think we showed some images yesterday from it when I was on here with Thomas talking about manga art theft. So they've done that not to just one American, international Western company. They've done it to every single one. So it's gotten to a point where, you had Trump talk about how, 4 years ago, he said these people are ripping off everybody, and especially Americans, trillions of dollars a year by putting out fake rubbish, low quality. And some of the stuff I've seen is like, man, like bugs in children's nappies. That terrible, right? Coming out of China, and and how they process it. So it's like, and this is all sold on Temu, right? Where you can live like a millionaire, right? It's like the most disgusting stuff. There's quality stuff sold there, and we'll be looking at that at another time. If you've seen all my live stream titles and the placeholders, you've seen what I'm talking about in the future. Now, let's get to the topic of the day. Now, okay, got that one. Now, there was one that I was, I think there's one really short clip that I think would be good to start with, because it just shows you, is that the one? Actually, let's just start with one and we'll work our way through it.
Media is applauding the revolution in Syria as a bad guy is overthrown and the rebel leader praises diversity. But before you book your tickets to Damascus Pride 2025, just let me explain how this is going to be a disaster for Britain. They're emptying Syria's prisons of Islamists, and there are now tens of thousands of jihadis with no dictator to fight against, and with even more of a grudge against the West than your average Islamic fundamentalist, while we still have open borders and security services who admit they're paying less attention to Islamic terrorism. It's going to be carnage. Syria has seen its dictator of 20-odd years, Bashar al-Assad, overthrown. He's fled to Russia. And as a former ophthalmologist, he's a rare example of a Syrian refugee who actually is a doctor. Now our media establishment is celebrating the banishment of a Middle Eastern dictator like they always do. Oh, look, it's so liberal now. They have a woman interviewing a woman and they have no headscarves on.
Some people are concerned that a lot of the rebels are Islamists. They are from organizations that have extremist ties. Do you worry about it?
For me, after what I have witnessed yesterday and what happened inside Naya prison, this is absolutely fine. Let's have the rebellions. Let's have this Islamic whatever shit over going out. This is more peaceful than what the regime and the Assad regime was doing to our mother, to our daughters, to our people here in Syria.
The leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, that's the biggest faction of the Syrian rebels, was a wanted terrorist affiliated with al-Qaeda who had a $10 million bounty on his head. Now he's cropped his beard and he's got new togs. He's had a glow up, not a blow up. He's applauded in the press as a moderate who tells troops not to frighten children and celebrates diversity. And I'm sure it's completely genuine and not just window dressing to make these Islamic extremists eligible for BlackRock funding. Yes, they'll burn Yazidi sex slaves in a cage, but what a diversity and inclusion strategy. Some wag isn't actually an...
That was... Did you see that? I do love the Welsh and Irish accent. My dad's Irish, and he sounds more palmy now, right? But like his grandparent, like his grandmother's side is Irish, and sometimes he says stuff and you can't understand it, and it's just like, speak louder, please, Dad. And this is after like 40 years of like, was it like 45 years of being around him? Sometimes I have trouble. I have to like lean in. But this one was like really funny, right? Where is it? Where'd you go? Yeah. That's what I want. Look. Apologies, guys.
Although I can assure you he hasn't actually announced his pronouns yet, so he could still be non-binary. There's also talk of the millions of Syrian refugees who arrived over the past decade and a half going home to their now free and bountiful country. There are hopes that in the power vacuum created by the sudden departure of Bashar al-Assad, the heavily armed, violent medieval tribes who each control different parts of Syria will now suddenly down weapons and embrace each other and form a functioning liberal democracy. Well, I'm sorry to be the pessimist, peeing on the flame of hope, but haven't we been here before? Yay, Gaddafi's gone. Springtime for Libya. Yay, Saddam has gone. I'm sure a Western-style democracy will now spring up in Baghdad. Yay, the Shah of Iran has been deposed. Let's all go on holiday to Tehran. Don't forget to pack your bathing suit. No, it's going to be complete carnage. There's going to be a wave of refugees coming to Western Europe, many of whom will legitimately be fleeing persecution. I mean, does anybody really believe that the new Islamist leaders will stick to their word of respecting diversity and be nice to Syria's Christian, Alawite and Druze minority groups? Well, look how nice these new Islamic jihadis are already being to Syria's Christian community. Here's one of them making sure that their Christmas tree is securely fastened to the ground. Oh, thanks, buddy. That's so kind. Where can I get that Christmas tree stand, by the way? The ones you get in Britain can be knocked over by a gerbil. By the way, isn't it interesting to see how Muslims are treated in Christian countries? We ban references to Christmas and say happy holidays instead. We fund mosques. We celebrate Eid and bend over backwards to accommodate them. Just this week, polite Germans looked the other way while Syrian immigrants marched through a Christmas market. There are already reports of Syria's Christian minority being attacked by Islamist mobs who are rampaging around the country, attacking former members of Assad's regime, attacking Kurds, attacking Alawites, attacking people from a slightly different Islamic sect to themselves. How did it turn into Mad Max so fast? It's been like 3 days. How did that car rust so fast? Maybe this whole thing is a psyop using props from Waterworld. Syria used to be a Christian country, by the way. There's a place called Valley of the Christians that pretty soon won't have any Christians in it. And it's not just Christians being persecuted. Syria's Druze community are even asking to be part of Israel to keep them safe.
نحن يا عمي تغيير الشرعين فعليك باختيار الشر من الغد وان كان هذا شرط يعني نقول احنا نطلب ضمن الجولين ولكن اقل بكثير من الشر اللي جاي علينا الشر الثاني اللي جاي علينا الشر اللي جاي علينا ممكن ياخذ نسواننا.
That evil might take our women, might take our daughters, is what they're afraid of. Right? I should have read along with it, but like, that's enough, right? You got all these men here from the Druid, right, tribe community in Syria. See, one of the things that Assad used to do was to keep everybody from killing each other, right? Because he was the monster, right? Everybody was afraid of. So if you did anything, he would be there, to sort you out, iron hand, right? But now he's gone. It's all for, it's all out. It's all out. It's all on, all on war, all out war for everybody that isn't Muslim. And the other thing about that, even if you are Muslim, because it's Shia, right? Anybody not Shia is not a Muslim according to them. So everybody else. And this isn't like nothing new, dude. Like if you really look at the history, Muslims have been killing each other since the inception of Islam. 1600 years ago, 1400 years ago. They've been doing it to each other ever. They used to lie to each other to protect themselves. That, oh no, I'm a Shia, or I am a Sunni. Please don't kill me. Both Muslim sects, right? So what tell what evidence do you have that they're going to do it to anybody else if they've been doing it to each other for centuries, right? It was like 1600 years, whatever.
So obviously there's going to be a lot of people who are fleeing this persecution, but mixed in with the legitimate refugees could be jihadis. For the last decade, Syria has been a magnet for Islamist fighters from around the world who went to fight against Assad and establish an Islamic state. With the fight for Syria over suddenly, they'll be looking for the next battle, and they're better armed, they're better funded, and they're better trained than the jihadis who attacked Europe a decade ago. And Britain has a weak asylum system that anyone can cheat. There are thousands of hardcore Islamists being released from Syrian prisons with a grudge, and our counter-terror services openly admit they're taking their focus off Islamic terrorism to deal with Russia and China. And of course, the myth.
And of course, all those young people and ladies and elderly women posting memes, right? They're knocking on your door for posting memes in the UK right now. By the way, there was a stabbing in France just yesterday. And someone saying Allahu Akbar. And then also in Israel, there was like a whole bunch of stuff happening there as well. So it's a daily thing now. It's not like a random thing. It's like a daily thing. So now we're going to look at homosexuality in the Islamic world. One of the things that I want to talk about before I just go on, I will be playing a little video about this later, but it's about the Bashi Basha or Basha Bashi. It is where little boys and teenage boys are dressed up as women and girls and made to dance and then abused by grown and adult and elderly men in Islam. There's going to be a whole ugly live stream. I've been putting it off. It's like so much. And it's like just watching little boys and this is why I hate the whole trans kids thing, because it's basically fucking up a child's life even before they have a decision to decide what they want in life. And this is what these people are doing. And then to say that, well, trans kids, you're doing the same fucking thing the Muslims are doing. All right, Islamists are doing. Well, Muslims, I'll just fucking call them Muslims, right? What call it what is it called, like call a snake, right? So I've always been against the whole idea of trans kids and all that shit and grooming and all that, because it's the same thing. Doesn't matter what culture it is, it's the same thing. In the West, we try to say, oh, it's because that's what the kids want. A kid wants to be a fucking firefighter at the age of 6. You don't put him in a fireman suit and go and put him in a house full of flames and give him a hose, right? But that's the mental thinking, right? The left of the brain. It's like, you gotta tolerate it. Fuck your tolerance. All right, let's do this. So this is homosexuality in the Islamic world.
Welcome to Muqaddimah. My name is Siavish. Today we're going to talk about homosexuality in the pre-modern Islamic world. While today the Islamic world and homosexuality don't seem to go together, in the past there was a rich tradition.
Did you hear that though? Right? He said today it doesn't go together. And keep that in mind. That's what we're going to be talking about.
Homosexuality being expressed through stories and poetry. While it was never completely allowed, it did become an open secret. So, without further ado, let's get to it. This video is sponsored by Magellan TV. Magellan TV is a streaming service that hosts over... Before we begin, I'd like to say two things. First, the term Islamic or Islamic world is often objected upon by people because it seems to imply that Islam is responsible for whatever the topic of discussion might be. Here, as in all of my videos, the term Islamic world is used for its geographical meaning, the world that comprised of empires that called themselves Muslims. Of course, this is a huge region, going at times from Spain to India, and not everyone followed the same practice.
It was a huge region was because they would invade everybody, take their women and children, and take all their money, take all their riches, and leave. And then wait for them to get back up again, and then do it again and again and again, every 30, 40 years. The next generation, next generation, next generation, right? This area here, which is, I think it's Bangladesh right here, Gujarat, Bangladesh, they used to do that every 30 years. They would come in, wait for them to get back on their feet, having like lost everything, right? Being slaughtered, devastation, take their women and girls for themselves, right? Rape, pillage, and all that. And then wait. And then wait for 30, 40 years for them to get back on their feet again. And then go back in. Right? And then again, and then again, and then again. This is why after, in like, I was like 1940, something like that, like 1920s, that's why Pakistan was established to get rid of all the friggin' Muslims, right? Because it was finally enough, right? Because they got sick of it. They got sick of all these invading forces constantly coming into India, and just we're here, let's go, rape, pillage, kill, maim, destroy, and then come back later in 30 years' time. Oh, they're ready now, boys. Let's go back in. We're going to look at that anyway when we look at Bangladesh in the future.
And social norms. Second, there was a lot of pederasty in the Islamic world. Older or even old men often had sex with underage children.
Remember that? Remember, I just told you that. Bashi bashi. Right?
Mainly boys. In the modern times, we call.
So, like when I was saying they took children, young girls, and women, they took boys as well.
That rape.
I remember, like when I was doing my first year of art school, I was flirting with someone, and this lady, like, didn't even ask. Right? It wasn't even the subject. She goes, "Oh, that like little boys having sex with men in Middle East is allowed. Isn't that cool?" I'm like, I wanted to say, actually, let me say this. So about 3-4 months later, she was like this, person, and she used to go out with a gang member, a biker. I remember like coming home about a day later or something. I had gone out or something, or gone away for the weekend, came home, and there was another student that were like flat because she was like her parents had left her the house, right? So bequeathed, in the will, she ended up with this house, and so she was, the biker dude, they used to live together in her house, and then there was another student, I think it was Simon, not sure, or was it Paul? Anyway, he was a bit, he's about my age, but he was a big, solid white dude, right? I think he was doing massage or physical education training, and so he was pretty bulky. And then so I come back and I see her face all like mashed up, like bashed up, like black eyes and everything. I go, "What's going on?" I walked in and just walked into my room, and then Simon or whatever his name was at that time. This is going back to the 90s, man. And he knocks on and goes, "Oh, hey, just keep on the down low." But she was they were out at a gang do, and she ran a mouth, and her partner. And so when they came home last night, I was trying to break it up, but didn't get that in time. But something in me was like, you know, you don't want to, like, at that point, you don't want to feel like glad. But the fact when she said that to me months earlier, I was like, you know, sometimes get karma, you know, because she thought it was fine that old men would, you know, rape children and young boys. And then to have her that happen, I felt like it was karma. And I know that was me at that time, right? And I still kind of feel like it's still karma, because sometimes you just sometimes think like that some people deserve that, but I don't think so. But then I'm like, yeah, karma, you know, if that is your belief system, maybe. But I don't know. It's like sometimes you just, you know, whatever you think in your head, you don't have to always blurt it out. You know, you just don't. And she had a tendency to do that. And I guess her boyfriend, you know, her partner didn't like it, whatever she was saying, at the, you know, at the gang house, whatever, the night before or the weekend. But yeah, so they used to they've done this for, you know, forever. It's part of their whole belief system. And I say this because it is in their belief system, right? Their Prophet Muhammad took his friend's 6-year-old daughter, Aisha, as his wife, and then at 9 years old raped her. I'm not going to say she has, you know, consummated sex, because she's a 9-year-old child. She was playing with her. It is in their thing, like, you know, in their Quran, where she says, I was playing with my friends, and then my mum came over. You know, we were playing with our dollies, and then, you know, with my other girlfriends, and my mum came over, and I don't know what was going on. She said, you're coming with me now, and this is what you're going to go with him. Your father wants to talk to you. And then the father handed me over to this old man. And then, of course, he waited 3 years because, you know, 6-year-olds, you know, fuck, man.
There was a lot.
It like really disgusts the shit out of me to talk about this, but like a lot of people are fucking ignorant, and they just think Islam is, it's just like Christianity, it's just like Hinduism. No, if you really, really want to know a religion, like we did with SCJ, right? For about four live streams, like what is it, like about 10 hours almost. We looked at that over that time period. Like, you look at what they study, what they say, how secretive they are. You look at what their members know and don't know, because, you know, on the outside everything's kosher. It's even like Christianity, right? Like, there's like some elements of Christianity that is so disgusting that people do some, you know, have done some disgusting things, but doesn't mean they all are like that. However, their book doesn't tell you to do that. Doesn't tell you to marry little girls. Someone said the other day, a child is ready to be you know, to have sex with as a baby the moment they leave the womb. This is Islam. And it's like fucking makes me crazy, dude. Like, seriously, it makes me crazy that people are so fucking stupid to not actually look at what they want to join or what they talk about, right? Which is why we're doing the subject about, you know, the gays, you know, the ones that are actually going flying the LGBT flag next to the Palestine flag, you know, which isn't a real country, right? It's just a bunch of people from Jordan, right? And they're just useful idiots, right, to be used as cannon fodder for Iran, right, as a weapon against Israel, and to blind the West about what really goes on. You know, what the whole point of it. It's about religion. It's nothing about like people and land. It's about religion, right? Those Jews need to be wiped out, and we're going to use these people as the way to do it, all right, as an excuse to do it. So the only place in the Middle East that you can be a gay or trans or whatever as an adult person, that's what I reckon, at the age of 18, you can decide whatever the fuck you want to do with your life. All right. Under that, sorry, no. But Israel's the only place you can do that. And yet certain gays, you know, all these protesters are protesting is the only place they could be free to you know, to live their life the way they want, because isn't that what they want, right? Isn't it what everybody wants, to live their life they want without harming anybody? But the only place that offers them that is Israel. Yet they want to boycott, they want to terrorize, they want to protest against, and inflict pain on the very people and very country that wants them to live there being themselves. And yet all around them, all those people around Israel, right, all the Middle East, hates them. And they get thrown off, driven behind their cars, with rope tied to their leg, dragged along the ground, right, thrown off rooftops. If you're just outside of Israel, right? But blindness, right?
Lot of pederasty in the Islamic world. Older or even old men often had sex with underage children, mainly boys. In the modern times, we call that rape. This video isn't about that. I didn't think it was appropriate to talk about that in a video about homosexuality because they're two completely different things. But I know a lot of people will mention it in the comments, so
and a lot of kids who have been raped become gay. I'm not saying all, but a lot. People I've talked to and I've known have. And because of that, because you got to deal with the mental gymnastics of like, how do I deal with what happened to me?
So I just wanted to address it here. Let's continue. Now, this is not a theology channel, and so we must talk about it. Most, if not all, scholars of Islam maintain that homosexual acts are forbidden in Islam. In the modern era, there are some who are starting to find room for homosexuality, but before the...
Isn't it interesting, right? There's no room, yet they're saying there's room, and then they're okay with the useful idiots and in the gay community joining them. See, if you remember, I'm not a believer, right, and I'm not a follower, but if you have Christians who say, well, in our text it says, homosexuality is a sin, but we love you as a person, but we do not like your actions, that's classed as intolerance by the gays. Not all, but most. See, they love you as a person, but they don't like what you're doing, just like with any sin, right? The whole thing, when we were doing the SCJ, they were like just saying, dude, like this rich dude comes up to Jesus, right? It goes like, Rabbi, teacher, what must I do to enter the kingdom of God, right? Heaven. He goes, go and sin no more. That's it, And then, of course, because he was a rich dude, he goes, well, give away all your riches and follow me. Simple, man. Simple.
Modern era, there were no scholars, at least to my knowledge, who tried to... was merely in the hadiths. There could have been some room for discussion, but the Quran itself makes it quite clear with the story of the Prophet Lut and the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah for homosexuality. So, according to all schools...
Now, if you really want to know the real story of Sodom and Gomorrah, read the Bible, because that's where the Quran takes it from. So rather than looking at like the about or like, the adaptation, read the original, right, story. And the story is that this was a really corrupt city, Sodom and Gomorrah, and everybody was effing everybody else. Like, it was really hell. And but read the story, man. Like, it'll take me a whole friggin' couple like live streams to get through it, but it's easy, right? It's just let me just find out, get you guys a chapter and verse for that. Let me just get this. Where is the story of Sodom and Gomorrah? Can I spell that right? Go more. No, it's 1. All right, and Bible or Torah. It's probably easier in the reading and where is it? In the Bible, because it's in English. Right. So it's Genesis right in the first book of the Bible, right? So Genesis 18 and 19, right? If you guys do want to, find out what that's all about, but it tells you it was like just all out, right? That's why we get the whole idea of Sodom and Gomorrah from. It was like everything was acceptable, even though it wasn't acceptable. It was happening there. It was really bad. But that's where it's from, man. Right? Always read the original, not the adaptation.
Schools of thought, it is forbidden. However, there's a range of opinions about the punishment for it. But like I said, this isn't a theology channel. This prohibition, however, didn't stop people from doing it. Before the modern era, there wasn't such a thing as a sexual identity. People could indulge in homosexual acts without having it contribute to their identity, especially in the Islamic world, where there was such a thing as homosexuality, but not such a thing as a homosexual. Of course, there were other identities that sometimes overlapped with sexuality. For instance, there were women who dressed like men, and this contributed to their identity, but they could have sex with either men or women, and it had nothing to do with how they dressed. Although I found it quite interesting that Ibn Sina, or as he's known in the West, Avicenna, actually talks about homosexuality being a state of being rather than just an act, though he considered it an incurable disease. Of course, even if you had homosexual relations, you were still expected to be.
See, that's pretty gross to say it's like an incurable disease. It's like something added onto you, like a virus, and that is pretty gross. I think that's just, you got to agree with me on that. Like, well, you don't have to, but that's but you got to see the sense in that. Like somebody's saying that, homosexuality or whatever, gayness is like a disease. It's gross, man. Like to just even think that, I class it as sin, right? As someone, in the rainbow community, like it is what it is, but I don't think of it as a disease, right?
Part of a familial unit and have children. As long as you did that, there was no dishonor or anything like that for having sex with a person of the same gender. In fact, it wasn't even scandalous. This was certainly true for two of the Islamic monarchs who preferred to have sex with men. First, Abbasid Caliph Al-Amin, Harun al-Rashid's son and successor, had a preference for eunuchs. He began appearing with them in public. This was quite scandalous in Abbasid Iraq in the 9th century, but primarily because it seems that Al-Amin was spending too much time with them instead of running the empire. So his mother...
Dude was too much into the sex, right, is what they're saying, right? What history is saying, right? That was basically was getting too much what we call shenane, and out here, and not interested in so he wasn't a good leader, and not only that, he was just a freaking lustful human being, right? And that's he was very lustful, right? And lust is a sin, right? So let's just say, according to the Bible, right, according to Torah. So do not lust after other things or other men or other people's property or after, such and such. Like the same thing because of money, right? Do not lust after money for the greed, right? For the lusting of money is a sin, not the money itself, right? So money isn't nothing wrong with money, but he was a very lustful man.
Queen Zubaydah prepared a counter-attraction for him by dressing up beautiful girls in the clothing that was worn by eunuch servants at the time. Since Al-Amin...
So basically, to get his mother gets the king, let's just say it's a king, right? Because all these terminologies basically means king. you know, um, so his mum, to get him to stop, spending all this time with the men, the eunuchs. Remember the eunuchs that they've got their nuts. You've seen Games of Thrones, hopefully. I mean, when they talk about the eunuchs, um, when the mother of queens, gets her gets her slaves. All those slaves are like don't have no nuts, so they can't have children. So she dresses. So this dude's mother, the queen, what is it called, the queen mother, or whatever they call it, or the king's mother, basically a figure, head, whatever. It dresses up the the females in the court, as men, in the same way that the eunuchs are supposed to be dressed up as dudes, and to get his mind off them.
Began appearing with them in public.
So you could say that's where cross-dressing comes from, right? As well. I mean, not say that's where it came from, because of course, excuse me, earlier we looked at the other dude was doing it
quite
as well.
A trend of women wearing masculine clothing. Second, we know that Caliph Al-Hakam II of Cordoba had a preference for men. This got to such a level that he didn't even touch women, and hence he couldn't produce an heir. His wife, Sub, had to...
So here's the thing, right? If you're a king, it's all about having hair. I always call it heirs, H-E-I-R, your children, because they will take over your kingdom and rule your people after you. And if you don't have any children, somebody else will take over. Or your uncle's kids or your brother's kids will take over, or your brother will take over. So you are basically ending it. And that's where, the whole idea of like, well, you're useless. If you are not leaving anything for your legacy. So if you're, and that's why they say like, the whole point is like, go forth and multiply, right? In the Bible, it's like one of the first kind of commandments, like after don't sin, whatever, is like go forth and multiply, right? And if you can't multiply, well, there's society dies out. And this is where, like we mentioned, how Korea and Japan's having problems with like people not having children. And not only there, China is as well. Chinese society's really gotten really bad because of poverty there that, not many people want to think about, but it's really bad in China right now. Like the poverty is so bad. It's probably like around about, I think about 40, 60. So probably unemployment is around about 40% of the populace, and then also those who are employed, they're in very bad situation as well, because some of them haven't even been paid for 18 months. Imagine trying to live without any income for 18 months.
Cut her hair and start dressing up like men.
So this dude's wife, right, the queen, because he isn't hanging out with her, even though he's married to her, right, and is not doing his due diligence of producing children and a heir. I don't know why they use the same word. They could have said hair as something else, right? But anyway, not the wig, but children. So because he wouldn't touch women, and because, like, if you're a king, you get to pick up the bunch, right? You guys have seen Braveheart, where the dude like just goes out and picks whoever from thing, and that's what starts the whole was it Ireland versus England, right? Kind of thing, where it's like it just got to a point where like, well, you can't take our woman, right? And so in this case, the king could do whatever they want. The rulers could do whatever they want because they're the rulers. They own you, right? You're like the peasants. You have no rights. Basically communism.
His wife, Sub, had to cut her hair and start dressing up like men. She was even given the nickname...
Dude, imagine having to do that. Changing your very person to put up because you need to produce a child, because that's your whole being as a female, right? It's calling you to, have a child. And like, here's the other thing about China right now. After you're 35, you're useless as a female. Honestly, that's what it's. I was watching a video yesterday, how she was saying that, like, this lady was saying, like, I got everything, man. You don't even have to worry about anything. I've got it all. I've got the best job. I've got car. I've got a house. I've got, apartment. I don't have to rely on you. I just need a man. It was really sad hearing that because she was 35 years old, dude. It was just crazy. It was like, where is it? I think I had under China is crazy. Well, where did I put it? I think I put under China's crazy, because I've got a whole thing I want to do where it's. Let me just find it because I think it was the most recent. Yeah, here we go. Let me just put that up for a second, right? So we can just. Okay. Oh, stop. Just as it's kind of a segue to this, because I think it's, since we're talking about this, about women. Is it the one? There you are. Look at how pretty she is, man. She's 35 years old, dude. Like, she's someone who's basically taken care of herself. She's 35 years old and she's pretty as hell. Like, she's like a friggin' 8 if you really think about it, right? But if you want to do the whole thing, what, 7, whatever, but unwanted.
Ladies, if you're thinking about getting married, remember this. Do it early. Don't wait too long. Before I turned 30, I wanted to find someone who was a wealthy heir, earning over $1 million a year, and I could actually date guys like that. After 30, I aimed for career professionals like myself, earning around $300,000 a year, and I could still find them. But after 32, I started looking for someone making at least $10,000 a month, who had a house with a down payment and could afford a wedding gift of $50,000. Now at 34, I don't need a house, a car, or a wedding gift.
She's there. This is a park where the mothers, fathers come to look at women on a list. There's like, see that at the back? That's a notice board, right, of all women who are looking for marriage. And there'll be a couple men on there as well. This is what it says on here, what she can offer as a bride. This is China right now, dude. She is basically 34 years old, right? 30, going 35. Walking around, on a Saturday or whatever day it is, where they all get together in the public park for these meetups. And she's holding up a sign. I have a house. I have a car. I have a good job. I don't need you to do anything. You don't have to worry about too much of what the dowry, basically, when you get married, you go, this is, here's what we offer to you. And it's like, it's still practiced in like the more traditional thing. I think in my family, when I got married, I didn't even think about that. It was like, basically they come out and they give you like, when I got married, like, because I'm like, I kind of had like, Christian marriage. And this is like about 2000. And so, because my ex-wife, well, she was like from Fiji and she was Indian. And so even though we had, she was Methodist and not like, my background, I was like, and it was Christian, and about 20 years back. So at that time, they would like have these bowls and they'll come out and it'll have rice in it. It's like you're setting up for your future, right? So they'll hand over those, because I was coming to New Zealand, so it really didn't matter to us. But like they put all these big silver bowls, like really like about like 10 liter, maybe 15 liter, big, aluminium bowls, and they'll have like filled up with rice, and in that rice there'll be like notes, like money, like $50, $100, $20, $10, whatever, wrapped up, that the girl's family, extended family, neighbors would put into, and like each one would have a separate, like from this family you get this, and then this family this, and so that's called a dowry. It's like the entire family is paying because and because you as a man are going to provide a future, so they, as a woman, she's bringing you her her part as well to set up. But for me, like I had everything sorted here anyway. House, I was renting, fridge, freezer, all that stuff, bedding, everything was new, right? And then the sofa, I've had this huge sofa. I sewed up this whole new covering for it. I think it cost me about $100 of material, but it was just like everything was set up. But like this is what they do. This is what is meant by dowry. Like they'll bring like money, jewelry, whatever. It's just whatever people could afford. They'll put it in there. But financial stuff, and if you're not if you're not a virgin, no dowry. So if you've been, used goods, as they would say, right, and traditionally, you're, you're no longer a virgin, so no dowry, so nothing. You just,
Or even wedding photos, but I still can't find anyone. They think, even if you have a car, a house, and a degree, you're already 34. Next year, you'll be 35, a high risk age for pregnancy. They assume there might be fertility issues, so I feel like despite my great potential, I completely messed it up.
The anxiety of older single women in China has become increasingly.
So this is the lie that feminism has basically told Western women and Asian women, And the thing is, in the Middle East and India, it's like majority, it's more traditional. However, India is pretty modernized as well. So there's a lot of feminism there as well. Women are doing the same thing where, let's work hard, get my, establish my career and stuff and not worry about it. And so the men now are like, yeah, sorry. There's younger 20-year-olds and, under 30-year-olds that are around, mid-20s, whatever. Better future with them than having to have someone who's like what so-called high and mighty, established in their way, have play the whole feminist game, and they don't need to give a shit anymore. So why would I be with you when I have someone who doesn't really care about that shit, who I can provide for myself and not worry about you having to provide for me? It's like with males, it's always ego, right? And one of the things that a lot of young girls aren't told, that you don't really want to, the bruising a man's ego is not going to get you anywhere in life. If you're married, I was thinking about this yesterday, actually, about the whole thing, because we've got a marriage coming up. So I was thinking about this in the sense of like what parents don't tell their kids who are getting married, like especially women. There's, sure, there's a partnership, and that's cool that you have to, that you're equals, right? But the other thing is that one thing you don't want to do is try to bring the man down in public or in your relationship. Like dig at them about whatever. If they did something wrong, you remind them every fucking couple of weeks. Remember that time, and just to win a fight, and you bring up the same old shit over and over again. That's not a good way to be in a relationship where you're constantly reminded. And men have a tendency to just go shut themselves off, and they'll go, well, yeah, whatever. And then after a while, they'll just go, yeah, I'll look elsewhere for someone who won't give me, who won't try to bruise my ego. And that's why you always have like people, men will go, like married men will find ugly women who will talk nicely to them over their own beautiful partners. Right? It's just the way it is, because it's like it's the way men work mentally. they don't want to be, talked down to that. And like, there's a balance, and I'm not trying to like fucking play with that shit, but I'm just trying to say is that like when you actually, if your partner is a man, right, and all you do all day long is like they'll like shut off, and they'll just find someone who just says the nicest word to them, and they're the ugliest, fattest looking ugly thing that you can think of, and they'll just go sleep with them for that one moment, just to get you away from or get away from you. It's just the way it is, man. Like, you can see it. Like, you go like, what the fuck you went with? Well, she's so hot, and you're married to that hot, and that girl, your girlfriend's like really, and your fiance, and you went with her. That's where that's what I'm trying to get at. It's like when men like, it's just it's a mental thing, man. Like, it's just, it's like there's so much, because the whole ideal of men have been raised to be a provider, and if they're and if they can't, they've failed, and then you start going at them for that failure. It's like the ego's bruised, and that's all they got in the end is the ego, right? The pride. And if you fuck with that, then you're just ruining your future with them. And then like you got no one to blame but yourself. But why did he go sleep with her? It's like, well, because you were on his ass all day long. Right, let's go to the other video. But I just thought I'd show you guys that, like, when we were talking about the woman there. But like, so Jeff, this lady, his wife, right, is, she's under pressure to provide a harem, but the dude won't sleep with her because he likes his boys. And so Jafar, she gets called and given a nickname Jafar, right? Male name, right? You've seen Aladdin. I think it's an Aladdin. That's why it's a Jafar. Isn't that dude like the King Jafar or something like that? It is King Jafar, right? Hold on. Who was the king in Aladdin? Aladdin. That's the way of pronouncing it. It's Aladdin. But we're so used to Aladdin in the West because of Disney. And jasmine. Summer breeze. I love the smell of jasmine in summer. Yeah. The Sultan. Yeah, and Sultan, the rule of Aqraba is the Sultan, who is Princess Jasmine's father. He's depicted as a kind but somewhat naive and comical ruler who is heavily influenced. Oh, it was the royal advisor, Jafar, who was heavily influenced by his royal advisor, Jafar, until Aladdin helps expose Jafar's treachery. Right, so he was the Sultan's advisor. It's not letting go of that text. Yeah, so that was from ChatGPT. All right, let's get back to this dude or this lady. Poor lady, man. Honestly, like, you get married off to a dude who's a homosexual, okay, who's got his boys, right, his men, and you're just a person there to look good, to validate him as a man, right, as a ruler, as like to be natural order of things, as they say, right, in the kingdom.
Of Jafar, a male name. Jafar was also the name of Al-Hakam's closest friend from childhood. Al-Hakam wasn't able to produce his first...
dude. Not only that, but like he gives her his childhood boy mate's friend, his male friend, his childhood male friend's name as well. Oh, poor lady. It's like she's like her entire identity taken off her. Kind of like in male sports right now. We got a whole bunch of biological male, right, taking away female sports. These females have worked their asses off their whole life since they've been able to get, since they started the sports, through school, through college, university, dedicated like whatever it was, like 4 or 5 hours a day or a week, whatever, all right, to train for that. And I remember when I was playing, touch rugby or rugby, each week we used to go and lift weights, 2-3 hours a day, 3 hours a night, and then run back home, because this is when I was this is when I was at boarding school. You used to like run there, so you're warmed up, then you go and lift weights, do some boxing training, then run back home. This is in the night. All right, so about 3-4K run back home, 3-4K back there, and miles, probably about 3-4 miles. I don't know how much that is, works out to be, but I know it was long for my little 12-year-old legs, 10-year-old legs. But yeah, and then you come home, and then if you're lucky, you get a shower or bath, and then you go to sleep. That was it. But after dinner, you went and did it once a week. Yeah, but she gets her whole identity taken off her, man. And just talking about that, with like there was a recent, the first trans, man, trans man. Well, he's a dude, like biological dude, but he won an award as playing as Oscar playing a female, right? And so they awarded, and it's like, well, so you awarded it. Biological males are winning, man. Seriously, in the entire world, biological males are winning. That's what the patriarchy is winning, dudes. Like seriously, man, if you're a man right now, you got to be up, if you're like incel or whatever you want to call it, not really sure about that's the right word for it, but if you're misogynist, dude, you guys are winning, man. If you're fucking killing it, dude. You got an Oscar even for dressing up as, for pretending to be a chick. Nothing wrong with that, but like, dude, you got an Oscar for, for being a chick. Misogyny to the win. Misogyny for the win, dude.
First heir till he was 46. Other than these two, we know stories of many homosexual relationships between monarchs and their courtiers. We know that Al-Hakam II's father, Abdurrahman III, had a male harem as well as a female harem. We know that Al-Mu'tamid, the Amir...
So you could say he was swinging both ways, but actually he was just gay. He enjoyed the females as well, but he was gay. There's the thing, like if it goes in that hole, then you're gay, and then you go and put in the other chick's hole, then you're gay as well, right? There's like the whole bi thing. I mean, I know a lot of people like, okay, just if you've done it once, you've done it once, right? And you're done, right? But I don't believe in the whole bi thing. I think it's just you're just gay.
Of the Taifa of Seville was in love with a poet named Ibn Ammar. Wherever slave soldiers were involved, there was almost always a sexual relationship between the monarch and...
Get that? Wherever a slave was involved, there was, homosexual sex with them. Because slaves got no rights, bro. Even if that slave is straight, ain't into it. He ain't got no rights, bro. This is what I'm, laying the bricks here, like they say, laying the foundations here, right? About this culture, about this religion.
One or more of his trusted men. Some famous examples involve Mahmud of Ghazna and Malik Ayaz, Alauddin Khilji and Malik Kafur, and of course the Mamluks of Egypt were famous for it too. It was even so common among the Ottoman soldiers that they often appointed someone to keep an eye on new soldiers and their superiors. In the Islamic world, we usually don't see egalitarian homosexual relationships between two people of a similar social class. They were almost always between people of different social classes, monarchs and servants.
Because when you're a ruler, you get to do whatever the fuck you want. Excuse the language. When you're in charge, you get to do whatever you want because you have all the power, right? You saw the you know, we're going to talk about that in a later thing. You saw the ladies who were like released in Israel, you know, from the terrorists, and the price Israel had to pay for that was like about 30 per one, because Israel values life more than those people do, more than Islamists do, right? Because there's a family out there with a baby right now, right, and a young child, I think it was, like that's a hostage right now. Like, he celebrated. Well, I can't even say he fucking celebrated. He turned one while a hostage. There was another. It was like shit. There was another girl who was murdered, and they dragged her body around and danced around her on October 7th, year 2023.
Servants or slaves, Sufi teachers and their students, etc. Speaking of Sufis, one area where we often imagine homosexuality being common is Sufism. Sufi poetry is full of seemingly homoerotic themes and mentions love between men again and again. So naturally, it is often interpreted as being sexual in nature, but that's way too simplistic a view of this poetry. Obviously, it's not always easy to tell whether that love is just platonic love between two friends, or if it's romantic, and even if it's romantic, does it involve sex? I mean, in the modern mind, Rumi and Shams Tabrizi were lovers in the night time, but that doesn't really seem to be the case. Of course, Rumi loved Shams Tabrizi.
All right,
There's
that's enough of that. But the link's there in the chat. You guys can check it out, the rest of the video. Now, I'm going to bring up a school, right? Whoops, that's the wrong one. Hold on. It's the same one that I had before. Get to the other tab. It is there. So this is a Muslim faith school slang for a book advocating death for gay people. So, right, pretty drastic, right? So let me put this up so we can the banner. I think I should have put the banner up, but this is an adult, well, not for children's side channel, I should say. But so there was a school, and this is from National Circular Society in the UK, if I remember right. In the UK, this is from 2021, right? That's when it was published. The article was written, and here's a link for that. So remember, we're talking about Muslims here, right? So Muslims are, there's a school teaching kids, right, that they should be dead. And this is teaching children this, right? Not saying to adults, because all adults already know that the only good gay is a dead gay, right? So faith school slam for book advocating death for gay people. Islam on homosexuality is the term, and it's written by Muti Muhammad Zafiruddin, translated by Sayyid Azhar Ali Zaidi. So it's basically written in Arabic and translated in English by Sayyid. And this is Pakistan, right? So it's a Pakistani school. And as we know, like about almost like all the people that were involved out of the 100 in the UK, rape and gang grooming in the UK was from Pakistan. They were Pakistanis. There was a couple of Indians in there, but mainly Pakistanis. And they were all Muslims. All right. So an independent faith school has failed in an inspection after a book calling for gay people to be killed was found in the library. The book, entitled Islam on Homosexuality, was discovered during an Ofsted inspection at Institute of Islamic Education, an independent Islamic school in Shrewsbury, in May. That's 2021. I said it was 21, wasn't it? Yeah, 21. And this is written in July, so 2 months later. Article came out. The book said participants of homosexual acts should be slain. Right? Or off rooftops, because in filth and mischief, you know, I remember writing this one time, like putting the SIC in there, and then in grammar, because I have really bad grammar, because I left school when I was like about 15. So anything I've learned is outside of, since then has been outside of like other, like tertiary education and so forth. So because of filth, because in filth and mischief, and that's what I was trying to say. Like SIC means like it's shortened, so that to make this. So yeah, and then he was like, that's what that thing that's what that word means, dude. It's like it doesn't mean what you think it means. Like paraphrasing. It doesn't mean paraphrasing. I'm like, okay, thank you. I feel embarrassed. Like my young brother, 10 years ago, when he was telling me that, like, yeah, well, he got he got to do all his studies. I left at 15. Okay, so because of filth and mischief of this act surpasses adultery. So for an adultery in Islam is really bad. Like you just can't, right? Because they'll stone you, because they do the Old Testament thing, where Jesus said, well, this lady, these rabbis brought this lady who was caught in adultery, and they said to Jesus, hey, Rabbi, what should we do with this woman? She was caught in adultery. And they all had their rocks ready, right? And so Jesus leans down, kind of squats down on the ground, because this is out in the open, and he goes, well, let him who is without sin toss the first stone. Meaning that if you are not guilty of sin yourself, that you're not a thief, you're not a liar, you're not a cheater, that you haven't committed adultery yourself and just haven't been caught yet, or you've done something else, you've had lust in your heart for someone else, and you've stolen from somebody, whatever. He goes, you throw the first stone, and then one by one, from the oldest to the youngest, they all left, and there the lady was there. That's the story of the adulterous woman. And that's what they're saying, right? They're saying here it's worse than that. Someone who's sleeping around on her husband, right? And hell, let me just see what Ofsted is here, because they're saying the Ofsted, is that like a school thing? I mean, I reckon it's like it's basically raising standards. Ofsted is raising standards and improving lives. School and boarding progress monitoring inspection report. So yeah, it's got to do with school reports and stuff like that, where they go out and check, like, are these guys up to grade, or what are they teaching? So that's who found it. So this is the link for that actual article, which I just that one there. I just went and looked at it, and it's there. It's like 21 pages long, tells you everything about it. But we don't want to go through that. So okay, so the book said participants of, I just read that. Okay. It also said that the evildoers should be put to death. So, we're talking about like the LGBT, and we're talking about how the theme of this whole thing is like how they've been clowned on because they're useful idiots. Useful idiots are always, used by political movements and stuff, and in this case by a terrorist group, Hamas in Palestine, right? Hamas, who controls Palestine, right? And whose Palestinians who joined them. And I've put up some little clips, tells you like even the women are wishing for death. So Yeah, so the book has been okay. It was said that the evildoer should be put to death. The book had been stamped by the school as a library book, so it's approved by the library book. It's not like this; it ended up there by accident, like somebody from the outside put it there. It's got a stamp of a seal of approval from the school itself. A book with the same title, pictured. Hold on, it's on Amazon UK. Dismiss my cookies. Accept my cookies. Yeah, so you can actually buy this thing to learn about how they want you to how much they hate homosexuals or gays over here on the on UK the UK Amazon. So let's just have a look at that quickly before we come back to this. There you go. How much are they charging for it? All right, it's 106 pages long. Wait. All right, an authentic book on the evils of homosexuality, containing discussion in the light of the Quran, Hadith, history, and medicine. Right? And here's the funny thing, because like I said, mentioned earlier, like all these people who are like siding with Palestine and Hamas and Hezbollah and all that, and Muslims and Islamists against Israel, they also despise Christians for this. They're so intolerant. Christians are so intolerant. But look, there's a book put out by them, The Evils of Homosexuality, and they're saying that you should be put to death. Now, we also, I'm not going to play the game of whataboutism, but like we're looking at their topic right now, right? What they're talking about. We'll come to Christianity some other time, but like it's just simple. Like I mentioned earlier, in Christianity, hate the sin, love the person, right? And of course, there's always going to be like some fucking person who thinks they same way and call themselves Christians, but really by their actions you should know them. Is how you should judge every book by its cover, book, not just by the cover. Open the hell up, open the damn book up and read it and see what's in there. Right. So, right, that's what we just read. Authentic. Yep. While the head teacher said the book should not be in the school library, other leaders stated that the book was for research purposes, according to the report. It's at a school library, which means it's available for everybody. The report said, by permitting this book to be freely accessible to pupils, just as I mentioned, available to everybody, leaders are failing to promote respect and tolerance for others, for fundamental British values. Oh dear. Oh dear. That's pretty weird, isn't it? Like, if you really think about what's happening in Britain right now, and had been happening there for almost 2 decades, where anytime you raise a question about the evils of Islam, raping your children, stabbing your family member or your neighbor or strangers, it causes Islamophobia. So these guys are Islamophobic. Osted is Islamophobic. They should be locked up and put in jail, according to Herr Starmer, right? The Prime Minister of UK right now, and his fellow promoters of grooming and rape, because it was Labour who was in power who allowed it to happen. And every time somebody turned up, said, "Oh no, we're not talking about it," because some of their members were part of it. There was specifically one person who was part of it, who was an MP. And we'll be looking at that later. I'll be collecting all these freaking like it's about this long, man, of links. Just like, and I'm like, that's a lot to cover. Might have to be like 2 or 3 two or three streams, because it's just getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, new things come up every other day now. It's like, okay, let's just wait it out. Let's let it get to the end of it, and then we can get together and talk about it, rather than like talking about it right away, because then I'll like miss a whole bunch of stuff out. So this report is Islamophobic, right? Because you shouldn't be saying that about Islam. They're allowed to kill people, gays. They should be allowed to teach children to kill gays. But I thought Christians and Jews were the baddies. Like, even in Hinduism, they don't teach that. But I mean, even in proper Christianity, they tell you shouldn't be murdering anybody. It's a single law: "Thou shalt not murder," as a commandment, right? So even the Bible doesn't tell you to do that. Yet these guys are telling you to do that. All right, so it goes against the fundamental value of British. It actually goes against fundamental value of Western culture, right? The right to exist and do your adult things without harming anyone, right? By harming is like without, getting the consent, right? So I think it's like national schools, whatever. What is the NSS? Let me find it out before I go further. What is it? NSS in UK schooling, maybe. Sure, something national school, something. Yeah, national school. It's a NSS is a national student survey. All right, so that's what they say there. So it's a national school survey, the NSS. There you are. Right, carrying on. The National School Survey head of policy and research, Megan Manson, said that the findings were horrifying. You're Islamophobic, Megan. Watch your back. They're going to knock on your door now. The black shirts. Yeah, I think it was the black shirts in Nazi Germany. The SS. Yeah, they're going to knock on your door. Or would it be the brown shirts? Yeah. But in this case, it'll be the blue shirts because it's the police that come up with a light blue. She said it is appalling that a book calling for gay people to be executed could be found in a school library. Look at that. It's appalling, she says. You fucking Islamophobic. How dare you say that? She should watch her back because, like, whenever she says something like that, they want to kill you. I mean, they did behead a teacher. It is even more disturbing that some school leaders appear to defend the school's decision to make this book available for children. She said, "Oh, dude, you're just like digging your hole, man. Dude, be careful. Watch your back. These people don't play around. Like, they shoot up friggin' buildings if you just draw a cartoon of Muhammad, right?" Schools have a duty to promote equality for all. Giving a space for hateful, homophobic, religious propaganda clearly runs contrary to. Oh my goodness, Megan, dearie, dude, you just really. How many holes do you want to dig yourself? The NSS has been lobbying the student survey body, whatever, had been lobbying the Department for Education to ensure that consistently failing schools are not allowed to indefinitely undermine young people's fundamental right to equality. Damn it. Okay, let's try this again. Tongue-tied. The NSS has been lobbying the Department for Education to ensure that consistently failing schools are not allowed to indefinitely undermine young people's fundamental right to equality of education. But what if they put up pride flags everywhere, Megan? And they teach their children about pronouns and hating straight people, and that being a trans kid, it's okay for you to be with adults. That you should see nude men at public events, waving around their shalong, and their slave boys dressed up in BDSM stuff, coming or dressed up as coming to pride events, or like your parents taking you there just so you can look at these grown men and think it's normal for you to be around grown men as a child. What about that, Megan? Also, what about like men dressed up as women with full beards and all that, the whole shebang, teaching little kids about gay stuff, how to use dildos? I don't know, man. That's kind of sounds grooming to me. The Secretary of State said, and this is like the UK, right? A firmer approach. Oh shit, is he going to dig himself a hole as well? Would be taken to enforce the standards when there was evidence of non-compliance when independent school standards were updated in 2015. Oh, this was in the past. Well, that's 6 years ago, right? Other failings, like we'll just finish off on here, right? Ofsted inspectors identified a number of other unmet standards at the school, including leaders had not addressed the safeguarding issues found at a previous inspection with urgency. So they basically said, we need to fix this, do it right now, because there's not enough safety out here for the kids, right? They didn't do that. Staff recruitment checks were not consistently completed before staff start their employment at the school, like police checks. Is this this teacher been involved, or this person coming up for a teacher's job been involved with children, abusing children? Is he a domestic abuser? Is he have to be around children? Is he a criminal? Has he got a criminal history? Has he been in jail? None of that was done. Leaders are not consistently informing the local authority when a pupil is removed from the school's role. Okay. So they just throw out the kids into the wild, so the kids don't know if they can't be accepted to other schools. They go out and they're on their own when they're being kicked out. So if they've been kicked out and they don't inform, not only like the local authority, like the school board, or maybe the parents don't even know the kid's been kicked out. So the kid's out there all day pretending to be at school, doing whatever he does, hanging out with other, older kids or whatever, and nobody knows. And so they're supposed to be at school, but school said they're not supposed. They haven't even said they're not at school because they got kicked out. That's really bad. Leaders have not ensured that this is like the talking about the PTA, right? Like that's when they mean about leaders at the school. They were talking about like the board of directors, all that shit. Leaders have not ensured that the site is adequately maintained, and there is no suitable environment for children, for pupils to play outdoors. So safety standards are not met. So this is just a bullshit school where Muslims send their kids to learn about how to kill, that gays should be killed, but not even providing proper, education, and so they ending up being criminals or whatever, whatever you want to say, right? It's just a useless fucking school, and not even safe enough to go play in the yard, right? Because there's not even enough, suitable environment to play outside. About the school. Institute of Islamic Education is an independent Islamic boarding school. Oh fuck, not the boarding school. The reason I mentioned that we've got a stream about a group of boarding schools in Malaysia where hundreds of children were abused, coming up soon. This was just found out last September or October. Hundreds. And around about 100, I think it was about 700 kids and about 100 teachers. And it was a Muslim school. So, yeah. Institute of Islamic Education is an independent Islamic boarding school for boys and young men between the ages of 11 to 25. So from junior high, I guess you guys could call it in America or elsewhere. Here it's like for us, it's intermediate. 11 and 12 is an intermediate. Then about 13 upwards is 13 to 18 is high school, a college for us. I know you guys call college, it's like basically university to us, or tertiary education. And then after 18 upwards, it's like university. So located on the grounds of a mosque. So it's a private school at a mosque. So all these people send their children there after they leave, after they get, childcare, they go there, right? So these are like not babies, or they're not like kids have to be like fed and looked after, right? Like primary school or whatever. These are like intermediate age. Pupils are only taught secular subjects in the afternoon, with the morning devoted to Islamic curriculum. So that's where they'll be taught how to hate, everybody else, right? The Islamic caliphate, right? The Islamic way is the right way, and we're going to take over the world. So that's taught in the morning. And gays should be killed, and Jews, the only good Jew is a dead Jew, the only good gay is a dead gay. In the mornings. In the afternoon, you get maths and whatever. And probably not science, because they don't understand that science. I was just watching this dude talk about science, and he was like, it's not really science you're talking about, dude. The school has previously told parents that the children face expulsion if they socialize with non-Muslims. Oh. Damn. It's like that's what I always say. It's like a cult, like a death cult, right? Islam is like a death cult. It's a cult, but it's a death cult because, like I said, only dead, they say gays, only good gays are dead gay, and only good Jews are dead Jew, because that's what they've been doing that all over the world right now. And now you're not allowed to socialize with non-Muslims, but hey, when you do, make sure that you rape them and groom them and abuse them. This is UK, right? Of course. Not just UK. I mean, like, seriously, come on. It has also forbidden children from watching TV, listening to music, or reading newspapers. So it's pretty extreme, and we'll find that, when we talk about this other, this other one later, it's crazy, dude. Like, serial crazy. All right, let's get to. Dude, we're at 2 hours. I didn't even get to the crazy stuff. The crazy stuff. All right. Now, let me see if this is the one. Just give me 1 sec. Okay, here we go. This is just a funny thing. Just a kind of anecdote, right? This is from Twitter, and it's from. This is. Oh, that was pretty loud. It's pretty loud. Came in my ear really loud. This is from the Gay Alibaba show, and the typical mentality, attitude, and beliefs of gay Muslims. Actually, let me bring that up first before I go full screen. Are we there? We're there. Are we there? Yeah, we're there. All right. Before I go into this one, right? Thank you for, we're the 2 hour mark. Well, just over. Thank you for, coming to this channel. I really appreciate it, for all the new people who join. This is a channel where I just talk about subjects that I find interesting. It's not me trying to force you to understand or do whatever I think is whatever. I want this is just like education, whatever. It's the most minimal thing, just to keep it, open your eyes up. Don't do not just wear rose-tinted glasses about the world and about Islam in particular, because we see them, we see their believers attacking, killing, stabbing, raping Westerners, and yet our leaders are constantly bending over backwards to bring more into each country, because they are part of the United Nations. We are part of the United Nations, so whatever the fuck the United Nations says, we kind of have to take our quota, right? Oh, you have to you take people of 5 million. Well, you can take 1,000. Well, where are we going to put them? What are their backgrounds? Oh, don't worry about that. You just provide it. Well, what about our people who don't have homes at the moment? Right? They're having to rent. Oh, don't want to hear that shit. You're part of the United Nations. You do whatever we tell you. Okay. Can we contest that? Nah, you just do whatever we tell you. Okay. I guess we'll just bend over backwards then and take it up there. So this is from this channel here. This is the Alibaba show, the gay Alibaba show. Just something a bit humorous, I guess. Maybe not. We'll see. I mean, I put this together a little while back, so let's have a look.
First, let me introduce myself. My name is Felix Fanny. Felix Fanny is not my Arabic name, but it is the literal translation and meaning of my Arabic name. I am Muslim, Arab, gay man. Yes, I'm saying man. I identify as a cis man, very masculine and butch, he, him. And I am a top. I'm not a bottom. I never bottom. I am a top. I've never seen a penis in my whole life. Even my penis, I don't know what it looks like. That's how much of a top I am. And I'm proud to be Muslim. I love my religion, Islam. And I love the Quran. And I love the Prophet Muhammad. And I would defend Islam with my blood. And I support Hamas. I support Hamas and the destruction and the killing of all the Jews. And it's okay, because the Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, he once said, the last hour and the end of world would not come unless the Muslims will fight against all the Jews, and Muslim would kill them all until the Jews would hide behind a rock or a tree, and the rock or the tree would say, "Oh Muslims, servants of Allah, there is a Jew hiding behind me, come and kill him." Yes, the end of the world will be by the genocide and the destruction of all the Jews on the planet. Isn't this amazing? This is why it is not considered genocide. We prophesize of killing all the Jews. That's okay, because it is Islam. It is the word of God and the Prophet. But what Israel is doing is genocide. Defending themselves from the constant danger is genocide. I am pro-Palestine. I am pro-Hamas. I am pro-anything Islam and anti-anything Jew. And I know you must be wondering how I reconcile between being gay and being Muslim. It's very easy. Gays are different from the people of Sodom and Gomorrah. The people of Sodom and Gomorrah were street robbers, were killers. They did all sorts of debauchery and horrible things. But we gays, we queers, we are cute and sweet. We don't hurt anyone. We promote equality and justice to all. And we only have sex out of love and relationships and commitment, not out of lust and debauchery. And this is why I will go to heaven. God will never punish me for being homosexual. You see, we gays and queers, we like to have anal sex, swallow semen, take drugs, drink piss, rim buttholes, have sex in the streets and in the parks, in the public bathrooms, but as long as you do it out of love and not out of lust, you will never ever go to hell. I am proud to be Muslim and abide with Islam. I even don't eat pork. I mean, I eat buttholes where the shit comes out of from daily, but I never eat pork. Oh, it's disgusting. May Allah protect me from that filth. But eating buttholes out of love, it's okay, and it is much cleaner than eating pork.
What?
Up till now, I pull my punches. I intend to eat their lunches. No more Mr. Nice Guy, not for me.
Thought I needed a break from that. Like, but yeah, typical gay Muslims, right? He nailed it. But yeah, do check out his the Gay Alibaba show. He's on X, and he's got his own website, gayalibabashow.com, I think it was. So let's have a look at this one. Let's get to the full screen. Add. This is the Muslim Judicial Council. And this is from a report from SABC. Is it Africa? South Africa Broadcasting? Okay, so where the hell is this piece? Hold on. And they have 2.73 million subscribers. Man, I could just do it 500 right now. I'll be really happy. Please subscribe. Right? Get me to 500 so we can get some, what is that called? Oops. So, yeah, it is South Africa. Yeah, it is this channel here. This is the link. South Africa, Africa's news leader so it is SABC, and it's from South Africa. The news we're going to be hearing, or the report. So we looked at Britain, and we looked at what the Muslims say. I mean, how the Muslims see the gays. And now we're going to see how Muslim Africans say. I think the leaders think about homosexuality.
The Muslim Judicial Council has reportedly issued clarity on its view on homosexuality in a short fatwa, saying those engaging in same-sex activity have removed.
Before we go forward, fatwa is like a ruling, we're going to be looking at a fatwa on a writer in a future thing, right? And so it's it's like an edict. This is the law, right? This and no more. Let me just go back here. So just want to tell you what the fatwa is before we go forward.
The Muslim Judicial Council has reportedly issued clarity on its view on homosexuality in a short fatwa, saying those engaging in same-sex activity have removed themselves from the fold of Islam. The fatwa clarifies that Islam's primary sources of legislation all seem to concur, all unequivocally prohibit same-sex actions and, by extension, same-sex marriage. Well, the Council has also advised that the Muslim community does not spread hate. Looking at a quote here, the Muslim community should in no way ostracize them. The MJC noted that it's difficult to engage in a...
It's pretty weird. I mean, we just look at that library book that's for sale, right, where it calls for the death of gays and homosexuals. That's Islam. It was written by Muslims. It was translated by Muslims and was in a Muslim school, and it's being sold on Amazon UK. The link's in the chat. I did that again. Hold on. Every time rather than pushing play, I push the screen so it shrinks it. Play.
Brief discussion of LGBTQ issues. Let's speak to Dr. Munir Abdurraf, who is from the Judicial Council, the Muslim Judicial Council of South Africa. Doctor, thank you for being with us. Can you clarify that this missive or fatwa has been issued?
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Yes, the Muslim Judicial Council SA is an Islamic-based institution that does a number of things within the South African...
Hold on. There's no friggin' subtitles here. It really sucks, because that's when she started speaking, I was going to put that on, because I was like, this is from South Africa, so the friggin' accent will be thick. It'll be hard for me to understand. If it's hard for me to understand, and I can understand a lot of accents, it would be hard for you guys to understand as well if you don't, if you're not used to accents. But there's no friggin' subtitles, so apologies, right? So let me pull that back. So this is like a judiciary, right? This is like a council. Like, these are the heads. These are guys putting out the law, right?
Council SA is an Islamic-based institution that does a number of things within the South African community. And one of the departments within the Muslim Judicial Council is the Fatwa Department or Fatwa Committee. Now, when it came to the issue concerning LGBTQ+, the department was approached with a request just to give some clarity concerning the stance of Islamic law with regard to matters either of feelings or actions concerning homosexuality and related matters. And as the fatwa states, it is quite difficult to engage in a brief discussion on this matter, but some points were then issued to the South African community, Muslim community at least, with regard to the request. And that is basically where this fatwa came about, by a request from the Muslim community in order just to shed some guidance as to what is stated in the primary sources of Islamic law and the interpretation, at least, by the Muslim Judicial Council in this regard.
What is the meaning of fatwa?
A fatwa is basically a question has been asked, and an Islamic scholar or a panel, as in the Muslim Judicial Council, there is a committee that they are on a number of occasions, they are asked questions and they then have to give the legal ruling. It could at times be on marriages, at times it could be on inheritance, at times it could be on halal and so forth. And a ruling or interpretation of the Islamic law primary sources is then given. And this is basically what this fatwa or brief fatwa or clarification is all about. It is the view of the Muslim Judicial Council.
And it's the view of the South African Muslim Judicial Council, but presumably you are in line with a global similar body, a Muslim Judicial Council globally. Does it work like that? That you get in line with an international body?
Yeah, basically, if you're looking at the Muslim Judicial Council, it has a number of members, of scholars, of Muslim scholars that have studied in various parts of the globe, be it in Egypt, be it in Al-Azhar, or in Medina University in Saudi Arabia, or locally as well. So what then happens is they would be qualified members of the Muslim community with qualifications or degrees in Islamic law. So when questions of this nature are then posed, and then an answer is then given based on the current context. Yes, so it might also be that other Islamic institutions would have similar fatwa issued in different parts of the globe.
All right. My first question now, moving to homosexual people or people who identify as gay. Is there any threat here? You know, one of the most high-profile fatwas was issued against the author Salman Rushdie. That was a long time ago, but people remember.
That's what we're going to be talking about in a future thing. I've been trying to listen to the audiobook so I can so I can, when I come to I think I've listened to about half an hour to an hour of it so far. It's quite a chunky book. And it's non-fiction. I mean, like, it's fiction, not fiction, non-fiction. It's not real. It's like made up story. It's a Satanic Verses, right? It's the title of it. But yeah, we'll be looking at that in the future once I listen to all of the story, so that I'm aware of what the subject we're talking about. And Salman's been like, last time he was stabbed on stage. So let me back that up here. So just before, I put up the list about, where is it? Not the list, is that it? Yeah. So in Islam, a fatwa is a formal ruling. So it's legit. You can't go against it if you're Muslim. It is it. And if you're a Muslim anywhere in the world, you make sure it's done. All right? That's why any Muslim anywhere in the world has to kill Salman Rushdie. Attack him, and we looked at I think was it I can't remember her full name, but her name's Ali Hashim or something like that. She was like she was from Africa. She moved to Denmark, Dutch, yeah, and she was like a filmmaker friend of hers was murdered by because he had a fatwa put on her and him in Denmark, because the Danish thought it's not going to happen. So they don't really, because they were serious and the country didn't think it was serious. So here's something, a heads up for, for people who don't really fucking understand much about Islam. A Sharia is a hardcore version of Islam that the Shia practice, which is against everything Western. And in Europe right now, they're calling, especially in UK and in France, they're calling for a Sharia system of governance in the country itself, like in Denmark, in Norway, or wherever the fuck they are in large groups. They're calling for that sort of system, a system that goes against the very country that they live in. They're calling for that system to take place. They're leaving their bullshit countries behind and going to other peaceful countries, which are tolerant because we're Westerners and we appreciate freedom, unlike them. And they want to set up their bullshit court system and laws in our countries. But the problem is a lot of our idiot left-brained moron leaders don't understand that. And much like what we had before, the last 8 years, which was Jacinda Ardern, who was like the poster child for Islam in New Zealand and across the world at that time, because of the mosque shootings here in New Zealand. She thought it was okay to don on a hijab, and because she did that, and she paid out millions of dollars of New Zealand taxpayer money to the extended family members and the members of the people that were murdered. That never happens anywhere else in the world, but we had to do that, right, in an act of terror, right? That nobody from our own, the person who did it wasn't even from New Zealand, he was from Australia, but we had to take that on board. So we had to pay for housing, travel, plane tickets for extended family members to be here. So we had to fork out all this bullshit for all the people that were dead in our country, but they were like killed by someone not even from our country. Nothing is like that happens anywhere to anybody else's country, but we had to do that shit, and so we lost a lot of our own tax dollars for that. Okay, we're nice people, fine, but even family people, not family members, I should say, people I know that were there were thinking, what the fuck is this, right? But that was just in the Ardent. What the Aussies call the horseface prime minister. And not only that, I've always been pissed off with her since for about maybe 5-6 years now, when she did that hijab thing, because just before she did that, I've been studying about the treatment of Muslim women outside of Middle East and what was happening to them. 70% of them were reporting that if they did not wear the and this is outside of their fucking outside of the countries like the Middle East, they were saying that 70% of them were being abused, were being beaten, were being assaulted, sometimes in public, by people of their religion, other Muslims, by their family members, for incorrectly wearing the hijab. And this bullshit person, Jacinda Ardern, our former prime minister from the Labour government, and fuck the Labour government's always like the left brain dumbheads, right? End up, I'm going to be the poster child for Islam. And they showed, and I've said this about it before, but we're talking about these things. And she was out there promoting the hijab and the poster child for it. And I was looking and it's you don't know anything as a leader. You're ignorant. You're supposed to know these things, but you as a leader are so fucking ignorant, right? That someone like me, who has not even gone to college to study this shit, how to be a leader or be a politician, understands this by just thinking about, hey, why do they wear the hijab? What happens to them? And they did a study, thousands of people they studied, and 70% of the women were beaten and assaulted by strangers. They didn't even know who were Muslims, right? For not wearing the hijab properly, or not wearing the hijab in public, or not covering the hair. And so there's a couple videos I put out recently that I found on Twitter, right? So people have put up about how these guys walk around making sure that people, that other women are putting on the fucking covering their hair. They're not even Muslims, but they have to cover their hair. This is what I get pissed off. It's because they get taught all this bullshit that they should follow, and this is why I'm bringing it up, because of the fatwa, right? They have this thing that women should cover their fucking hair, right? And so they, and when they don't, they get beaten, assaulted. But hey, but Islam's such a peaceful religion. Islam wasn't a peaceful religion and has never been a peaceful religion. And let's get back to the fatwa.
A long time ago, but people remember that he said he had to run for his life. His life was in danger. Is anybody in danger because of this fatwa?
Definitely not. Definitely not. In this regard, we are also...
Wait. Let me go. Where is that thing I just put up before, right? Definitely not. Where's the school thing? What did they say there? And the quote was, where's that quote? It says the evil gays are evildoers, should be put to death. So this is what they said, right? Please don't clip this as me say. If somebody's going to clip this, don't say it's me that's saying that. This is what they're saying, right? Quote. All right. Yeah, it's not. Oh, It's not letting me do it on YouTube, but it's going to let me do it on Facebook. All right, it says here, your YouTube rejected your comment. This usually means they think it's spam. That's because it says that thing. So Facebook, it's on the screen now. You can see it, right? That's what they said. There's a book about it. It's in their book. And we looked at it just about half an hour ago. But here.
Basically, understanding that within the South African context, we have many freedoms. And one of the freedoms is also a freedom to live as Muslims, as a minority group within a multicultural society, which have different cultures, religious, and linguistic communities. As far as this fatwa is concerned,
if you believe that, then you're fucking stupid. Seriously, if you believe that, then you're fucking stupid, and I can't help you, man. I can't do nothing for you. You jump from a Joey into a jam. I can't do nothing for you, man. Quoting Flavor Flav. Yeah. You jumped in the fire from the pan, basically.
Muslims who are practicing within the South African context, they would like to have at times questions answered, as is this allowed, is that allowed? What does the religious text say in this regard?
Wait, did he?
So this
hold
was
on. Wait. So this is about their fatwa. There's about Islam, and he brings in Christianity. That's what they always do. They like to say, "Oh, but we're not so different from Christianity." Yeah, you are. Christianity says, "Do not kill." The Bible says, "Do not murder." It's like the number one rule, if I remember right. The commandment, like what's the number one commandment? All right. List of 10 commandments. Chat GB. All right, the 10 commandments, right? In Exodus, you can find it just yourself. Like I said, I'm not a believer, I'm not a follower, but sometimes, when these people say these things, it just makes me think, like, do they actually know what the fuck they're talking about? Half the time they bring it up. So this is in the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20, from the Torah, of course, 1-17, right? It's chapter 20, verses 1-17. And what it says there is, let me just bring it up so you guys see the actual thing rather than just, me mumbling about it. All right. So the 10 Commandments are a set of biblical laws, say a fatwa, but not really a fatwa. It's just, a biblical laws given by God to Moses on Mount Sinai, as recorded in the book of Genesis, Exodus 21. Sorry about this thing here. It's like I pressed some shit, and I'm supposed to fix it. And it's like all the titles that comes up, it always gives me this like, digital text. I think I was looking for a digital text for a comic, and I accidentally put it right clicked it, use this as titles. Excuse me, and haven't been able to change it back. And every time I think about it, I'm going to change it back, and I forget. Okay, so Exodus book of Exodus 21-17, and the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5, 4-21. Right, they're fundamental moral principles in Judaism, and I don't even know why it's See, this ChatGPT is bullshit because it's not in Islam, right? It's not in Islam. It's in Christianity, right? It will basically, it's a Christian and a Jewish thing. It's not Islamic. So it goes, you should have no other gods before me, and they've taken that on board as theirs. You shall not make yourself for an idol or worship graven images. You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain. Remember the Sabbath, keep it holy. It's Saturday for Jews and Sunday for Christians. Honor your mother and father. Do not murder. Number 6. I always thought it was number 1, but I guess you got to worship God first, right? Do not murder, right? Commandment number 6, right? In the 10, do not murder. Yet the Muslims are calling for the death of gays. So let me type that in that commandment. I spelling right? Commandment number 6 of 10. Do not murder. All right. Back to our fatwa. On gays, right? Like he's playing like the oh, we're multicultural. We believe in the thing. No, you don't. I mean, we see by your actions, and there's a problem with like people, right, in the West. You know, when Islamists kill people, go, oh, but they're such a peaceful religion. Dude just stabbed 2 people, and he was crying. He was shouting, Allahu Akbar. Dude just been in a synagogue, and he wrote you know, put Nazi things on there, and he was shouting Allahu Akbar. He was a Muslim. Oh, but they just a peaceful religion, man. They just threw a gay over the roof of you know, of a thing over in Gaza. Oh, but he was just they're just a peaceful religion, bro. Dude, calm down, man. Calm down, man. Don't, dude. You just gotta calm down. It's, you know, it's like you just gotta accept these people. You know, they, you know. But I'm like,
How am I supposed to prove it more than I already have, Professor? Why won't they believe me?
seriously, why won't they believe me? But hey, you know, let's carry on with this, dude.
In this regard. So this was only a guideline or guidance as to what should happen around this. As far as the fatwa is concerned, it even says there that we have to live in peace and harmony with persons even of non-Muslim faith as well. And this is what Islam basically encourages as far as this fatwa is concerned as well.
Final question. What does this mean for somebody who identifies as a Muslim but also identifies as gay? If they are open about that, does it mean they cannot attend mosque? What implications for Muslims living in South Africa?
Well, for that question, basically, a more broader or more detailed fatwa as far as that is concerned, and certain questions that we ask to an individual. This specific fatwa just speaks of 2 things. The one thing is where a person has, let's say, homosexual tendencies, right, and it's not acted upon.
So he's talking about homosexual tendencies. So the guy's gay, but he ain't out there doing the gay thing, right? He ain't the top and he ain't the bottom, right? Or a girl. See, they concentrate on the guys a lot, but they mean the girls as well. But because they, you know, they deal other ways with women, as well, you know, as you saw in the last stream we did about how much they hate women, and we've got another part 2 coming up later. But they really, really hate gay men.
Other instances where it is they are tendencies and they are also acted upon. In the one instance, the fatwa says that basically does not take the person out of the fold of Islam, but this is something which is Islam basically requires. As, for example, in the fatwa, it says there that if a person desires to fornicate, now that is something which Islam does not allow. And if a person keeps in that desire, that is something which is commendable. And even in the instance where the person does, however, explain that these are his or her desires, but does not act upon it, that those persons should be welcomed in the community and basically commended for that. In the other instance, however, if they act upon it, Islamic ruling is that
it's really hard to listen to him, because like it's jaggedy, his connection, whatever it is, and their thing, and then we listen to it. And I know, but like the links there, and I'll put it up again so you guys can hear it, later. But I want to show you Iran next. So let's jump from him because he's in Africa. And this one's called Meet Iran's Gay Mullah Forced to Flee the Country. Remember they said about like, what if like the person's gay? Is he allowed at the mosque? And this is from 8 years ago. I mean, it's not like everything, it's getting worse, but like this is from 8 years ago. Just trying to, nothing really changes, right, in Islam. It's like it gets worse. And by the way, 24% of Muslims are leaving Islam annually. There's like about 24, about like 1 out of 4, right? So there's like 24 out of 100. That's a lot every year because they see for now, because guess what? Thing is now that because you have the internet, and which I love the fact I'm living in this, and I've mentioned this, the fact that I'm living in this generation of technology, right? That you can find out for yourself what the actual teachings are and what the actual mullahs and the muftis and the mosque and the preachers, what they teach that you haven't been able to find out, have never known about. And now you're suddenly hearing about that because it's available for you to look into it yourself. That's what I love about this generation, man, like this timeline. Right now, we're able to learn all this stuff just with pressing a couple buttons and we're there. Search.
Taha goes through the ritual of putting on his traditional Shia cleric's outfits before going to pray at the local mosque. Like many other mullahs back in Iran, they rule the country and advise people on spiritual matters. These clerics are highly respected, but also
these guys are the worst of the worst as well. I'm sorry, these guys are the worst of the worst. So I recommend Atheist Republic channel. Right, we talk about that channel here a lot. Let me get the link to that so you guys think it because the main person who talks on that, and it's in English, and they also have an Arabic channel as well. But the person who talks on that, like co-host that, is name's Amin, and he's from Iran. So they have a lot of it's talks about religion and all that, and they bring up everything that's going on around the world regarding religion and stuff like and news and whatever, and they do deep dives. And so please check out that channel. Like seriously, it's a good channel. The more you want to know about religious things happening, and I mean all religions, not just Islam, but there is a lot of Islam content because of Amin being from Iran, and they talk about all the terrible things that are happening there now. I know this is from 8 years ago, but the mullahs, these are the hard line. The Shia are the one, and we looked at Iran before. The Shia are the ones in control of everybody, so they're like the CCP of China, right? They're the party that took over Iran's democratic rule by their king, right? And then now they're basically ruling with an iron fist, and they've been like disappearing people left, right, and center, young girls listening to music, or not wearing the hijab, It's really sad. But please do check out the channel Atheist Republic.
feared for the power they wield.
I have come here to Istanbul to meet Taha after he fled from Iran because he's gay. I have done stories like this few times before here in Turkey, but this is different. Taha is from the hierarchy of the Islamic regime, which enforces the regime's very harsh approach when it comes to the LGBT community.
This local cleric He attended an Islamic school to become a mullah when he was just 15 and rose up the ranks to become a Hujjatul Islam, a respected authority on Islam. When I met Taha, he told me he tried to keep his sexual orientation quiet, but Taha's life was exposed, especially when he started conducting gay weddings in secret.
قطعا من این کارو میکردم. حاکمیت بعضی موقع پیام میدادن، مثلا حالا از طرف یا اینکه اداره اطلاعات احضار میکرد، اطلاعات سپاه یا وزارت اطلاعات، و میگفت که چرا این کارا رو داری میکنی، چرا با این افراد در تماسی، تو روحانی هستی، نباید این کارا رو بکنی. از اون طرف هم افرادی بودن که اینها میگن کاسه داغ‌تر از آش، اینها مذهبی هایی بودن که دوستان من بودن.
All right, sorry. All right, let me just read this. So I'll go take down the volume and read it through, and I'll make it go slow so easy for me to read. All right, so 0.5 translate, I should say. Okay, so this is what he was saying. Yeah. Is it too slow? Yes, I conducted gay weddings. The last few months were very difficult. The authorities questioned me several times about my choice of friends. Remember, he is the authority, but there's other authorities, right? So his other, his fellow authoritarians, right? Because these are the guys who are fucking making it hard for everybody else, the normal citizens, right? These are the Shia who are making it tough on everybody else in Iran. Like millions of people subjugated to these bastards' rules. But then it's going, the authorities questioned me several times about my choice of friends. Well, my fellow leaders, my fellow mullahs and muftis, us bad people, the other bad people were questioning my being a bad person, right? Remember, it's his word that gets people put in jail. Or beaten. They were saying, following, I'm a cleric and I shouldn't be meeting gay men. The other mullahs were suspicious about my sexual orientations and threatened me with death. Right? I think I'm a bit too slow on this one. Let's go to 75. With threatening me with death. Right? Right? So he's a mullah, but the other mullahs were suspicious about his sexual orientation and threatened him with death. Remember, that other guy from Africa, and then that was saying, oh, they're welcome in the mosque, they're welcome in our community, even if he doesn't go around screwing men, he's welcome, right? And then the UK one was who's got a book out saying they should be dead. They're worse than adulterers. They should be murdered. They should be dead. Right? Actually, that's pretty weird. Like,
Iran was not always so homophobic. Before the
right, let's go back. I'll play it slow because I think otherwise I'm going to go back and forth again. Let's go.
1979 Islamic Revolution, it had a very liberal attitude towards sexuality. Being gay was not a crime. There were several gay-friendly bars and clubs. After
Going to the gay bar. It reminds me of the song. Let me play that. It was a pretty cool song. I remember my gay friend once played it to me. It's like nobody knew he was gay, and then he got outed by his girlfriend, and that was kind of sad. Well, his ex-girlfriend. It was a gay bar because he was a musician. He was a really cool dude, really good guy. So Electric Six. Hopefully, I'll only play a bit of it. Right, so we don't, get, strike. But I think it'll be funny. Not funny, but just a fact, bit of an interlude. Since he's talking about, I mean, like I was saying, Iran was such a free, democratic country, even under the king, right? And they just had a peaceful life like anybody else anywhere in the world. But because of the oil and because of, the promise that, even after they took over, it'll be still democratic, the time that at that time, the U.S. government, whoever the leader was, I can't remember who it was, and the president at the time, decided that it'll be, let's overthrow the, and I'm glad Trump isn't into that, right? He's like fully, no, we ain't doing no more fucking wars, right? And while he was president, there was no wars. And as soon as he leaves, wars, right? Wait, sorry, I had that slow. Did I go slow? No, it's fine. Wait. What's going on? There we go.
I wanna take you to a gay bar. I wanna take you to a gay bar. I wanna take you to a gay bar, gay bar, gay bar. Let's stop. Stop. At the gay bar, gay bar, gay bar. Wow.
You guys can check it out later. It's just a fun song, but I thought it would be pretty cool to hear it. And hey, like you said, there were gay bars in Iran. There was like everywhere else in the West because, we're very tolerant. But hey, not so after they, not so after the Shia came and took over the country with America's help at that current time. Got to make that clear. That current government was all about toppling nations because they wanted what everybody else, somebody else had. It's our oil, bro. It's not their oil. We shouldn't have to pay what they want for it. We should pay what we want to pay for it, right?
Revolution, everything changed. A conservative Islamic government took power. Today, Iran is one of the 7 countries in the world where gay sex is punishable by death.
I wouldn't say conservative. There's that word has been thrown around so thing, right? So fucking much. Especially in comics right now, in indie comics, which fucking gets on my nerves so much, especially from a group called the CG, right? Comicsgate. It's a grift word. Look, conservatism means basically this, that I can understand, right? Family values, hey, mom, dad, Joe, let's think, right? Oh, God, country, family. That's it. However, it's become a political thing to sell product now. Oh, it's not woke, right? It's not woke, so you should buy this. And anytime, if I ever fucking said it about my books, don't buy my books, right? If I ever say my books are conservative or it's a woke or whatever shit, don't. For me, art is art. It shouldn't be political unless you're doing political art. You shouldn't politicize art unless it's a political art. For me, I'm just writing stories for you guys to read, right? If you want to read my stories, because I just want to entertain. It's just these are stories that I feel like I want to tell, and that's the whole purpose of it. And if you like it, then thank you. Appreciate it. Tell other people about it, just the way I do. Tell other people about it if I like something, right? If I like a certain book by somebody, I'll go, hey, read this book. It's cool, man. So that you would read it and enjoy it. And if you did enjoy it, maybe not. If you didn't enjoy it, that's fine. But if you do enjoy it, tell somebody else. Because that's how fandom starts. That's how people become, I guess what originally was about having, a community around something. Because now a community, I should say, not committee, community around, what you love, and then you just all get together and enjoy that. And now it's oh, but it's this or that. And I was like, fuck that shit, man. it's just that's what I say. Like it's been thrown around too much, and really it's it's been thrown around to make money off people, and that's not the cool way. If the story's good, then the story should stand on its own. You shouldn't use any political fucking shit to make it, make people buy it. Just here it is. If you like it, please tell other people about it and enjoy it. And if you can afford to, buy it. All right. And more people hear about it. Maybe somebody else might be able to buy it, even if you can't buy it. That's the way, that's the way life is about. Not using politics to fucking advance your sales figures or shit like that. Or hate on other people to, so that if you hate them, then you think that people will buy your stuff. No, they'll just realize that you're just a hater, right? So if I hate somebody else and they're a rioter, people go, well, fuck, let's see your shit then. Are you any better? I don't want that stuff about me. Like, I don't want to have to be put on a competing stage. Like, I just hope that you guys, enjoy what we're doing, and my art is, working on and stuff. All right, let's get on with this. So, basically, when they took over in Iran, and they weren't conservative, they were fucking dictator, communist bullshit. That's why I always consider Islam as a communist thing, level, and I hate, dislike both equally, because it's all about control, right? If you really get down to it, Islam's about control, and so it's communism. Controlling your music, like they say, you can't listen to music. You can't dress a certain way. You can't talk to certain people, right? That's all control.
Today, Iran is one of the 7 countries in the world where gay sex is punishable by death. This is the environment Taha grew up in. His strict religious upbringing made it even worse.
All right, back to the 75%, so I can read this guy's, read out the translation, so I don't, so those who are listening and not watching, and I know I do that myself, so so you guys get the translation. There's subtitles. So I was different since I was a kid. I was feminine. I knew I was not interested in girls. He's talking about when he's about 15, right?
از بعد به حالا بچگی من از همون زمانی که من بچه بودم خب در من وجود داشت. میدونستم که من میل آنچنانی به غیر همجنس خودم ندارم. این مسئله ادامه پیدا
So when I went to high school and I got access to the internet, lucky him, because a lot of the the internet's already closed off.
تا دوران راهنمایی
I just realized why he was able to have access to the internet, because he was part of the holy people, right? I mean, not the holy people, like the leaders, the special class, of citizens, right? Because he was going to study, he's going to be one of the authoritarians in Iran.
رسان من حالا به فضای اینترنتی و مجازی آشنا شدم و اینها کم کم
I learned more about the whole concept of being a gay man.
اون لحظه خیلی ترسیدم.
At that time I was studying in the Islamic school. I was very scared. I was crying for days.
UN figures suggest there are over 1,000 Iranian LGBT refugees in Turkey waiting.
See that? This is from 2005, right? Imagine how many have been killed in that time. See, the numbers you get aren't exactly always the actual on the ground figures, because those are just numbers that you're aware of. They say, oh, there's about 10,000 people, such and such, and like 15,000 people have been killed, right? It's like what happened in my brain just remembered, happened in Tibet. Was it Myanmar? Tibet, right? Just a couple of weeks ago. It was like mid-January, 26th of January. There was an earthquake there. Huge. And they said, oh, only a few people died. Nothing major happened because China was controlling the narrative, right? They wouldn't even let anybody from the West go in to help. Not even India. They're like, we're going to control it. Over 100 people died that they're aware of. And as you know, a lot of, homeless people move around. So if they pass, you don't even know if they're passed, right? Because there's no fix about it. Or they don't have any family members. Maybe they're elderly. Maybe they're cast out. Nobody gives a shit about them. Or maybe they're homeless children, right? So no numbers. But according to the UN, the very biased bullshit, committee,
Iranian LGBT refugees in Turkey waiting to be resettled abroad. Migrants have no right to work here. This makes the experience of being a refugee in Turkey very difficult.
isn't it interesting, right? Like Muslims from Iran are not allowed to work in Turkey, a Muslim country. Yet our Western countries are so open to them. And yeah, sure, we'll actually freaking give you money to help you with your social needs. House, we'll fucking provide you house. We'll provide you home, clothing, power, internet, mobile phone, car, bikes for your children. Yet Muslims won't even do that for themselves. Next door, next country over, like Turkey's like, where's that? Turkey's like right next to Iran. So this dude flees over there with all his homosexual friends, right? All his gay men, gay friends, gay ladies. They flip over to Turkey, not allowed to work. Dude's a mullah, right? He's a preacher. He's like he's the priest. He's the guy who stands up and goes, "This is what you should do with your life. This is what the Quran says." And he's not even allowed to go to a Muslim country and work. Yet we're so welcoming to them in our countries, and which we should do, but not to the extent that we are doing, right? Because we're not even helping our own most of the time before we help them.
For people like Taha.
It was very difficult to survive here. I don't have the power I had in Iran. Oh yeah, that's because you were the authority in Iran. You had the privilege that nobody else had, apart from those who had the privilege, and because you're Shia, right? You were the overlords over everybody else, right? You got to sign off on the young girl who was dancing to music, to rock music, or who dressed differently, to go get get arrested and taken away, and then killed. You'll of course will find that out on Atheist Republic. It happened just recently, and I put up that link there. Please do check it out. It's a really, really, really good channel to find out about what's happening around the world when it comes to religion.
اینجا و اعلام پناهندگی کردم فشارهای ایران 100 برابر شد.
When I settled here as a refugee, pressure from Iran increased too.
من بگم که فحاشی هاشون اگه تو ایران فحاشی نمی‌کردن اینجا فحاشی‌ها زیاد شد.
Religious people name and shame me. They send me text messages and threatening me. Actually, it's a bit too loud for that, dude. It's putting me off. As soon as I publish a post on social media, they attack me. But I thought Islam was all kosher with with LGBT and isn't that why they all raise their Palestinian flags together and they join all their pro Hamas marches and all that, all across the world where the white people live, Westerners. I thought that they love the LGBT, that they love the trans, they love the gays, they love the lesbians, they love the queers. And you're telling me as a Muslim cleric of high standing who studied to be a leader with authority, you can't even put a post out before they attack you, before they name and shame you in a Muslim country after escaping another Muslim country? Damn, I've been lied to, bro. Like every other fucking gay person around who doesn't open their eyes to this. They've been lied to.
Taha showed me pictures of the mullahs he knew back in Iran, including former President Khatami.
Look at him. He knew the president, the former president. This is the privilege he lived, right? Hey, he met the president of Iran.
Initially, he appeared to be just like them, but the more I got to know him, the more I realized he was just like other gay Iranians.
In your age, usually go out, go clubbing, and have fun. Do you do so?
Yes, I do. I went to gay clubs a few times.
Istanbul is unique in the Muslim
Turkey.
world for the tolerance of homosexuality. The city has several gay bars and
Oops, sorry.
clubs. Taha wants to take me to one of them.
Hold on.
But
Sorry, that was pretty low. Apologies for that. Here we go.
Tolerance of homosexuality. The city has several gay bars and clubs. Taha wants to take me to one of them, but before that, he needs to get ready in his way.
Wait. I just realized. Okay. Copyright strike.
On Istiklal Street, famous for its gay scene. Venues like these are new in Istanbul as well. Now we are sitting in one of them. On one side I have Taha, the gay mullah. On another side I have two Iranian gay refugees who fled from the country. Ramtin left Iran a year ago and plans to get married to his partner. He hopes Taha will conduct their ceremony. For him, a gay mullah.
I wonder if that bar still exists, right? Because it's not like public, especially in Turkey, right? In Istanbul. It'll be very secretive. It's just like the clubs in Qatar and stuff like that. Or is it Emirates? You know, and where they're underground, it's like so far underground that the noise doesn't go upstairs. And so you could do whatever the hell you want, like drink and, you know, whatever, have sex and all that, you know, normal, whatever shit, you know, club activities. I shouldn't say sex, but like maybe there is, but, you know, just hang out with the ladies and all that shit. But it's really hidden and quiet, noise controlled, so that people who shouldn't know about it don't know about it. And I wonder, you know, how long these things are going to, like, because they basically put a target on their heads if they're still there, but they're waiting to get out, right?
It's a big deal.
It's very, very big. I'm very.
It is a very big. It is very big, and I'm very happy about this. So he's getting married. He's talking about his being able to get married, right? So this is Ramtin Sigorot. He's an Iranian refugee, just like Taha. Before this, we knew mullahs as people who wanted to punish us. Oh, he's talking about the dude. He's talking about the mullah who's the gay, right? So he's talking about Tahir. Sorry, apologies. So he's talking about this being a big deal, that there's a fucking mullah who is to punish them, sitting opposite them in this gay bar, right? Before we knew this, we knew mullahs as people who wanted to punish us. See that? That alone should tell you how terrified they are under, you know, Islam, under the Sharia law, which they are wanting to be all across the world.
آخوندها رو به عنوان کسی میشناسیم که قرار ما رو مجازات بکنن. قرار ما رو
They prayed at execution ceremonies. These mullahs, people like to hear. They prayed at our execution ceremonies. Look at the dead eyes. He's like, not dead eyes, but like just sorrow, right? Like serious as fuck.
های چوبه دار دعا برامون بخونن.
But now we know someone who prays at our wedding ceremonies. So it's all good now. Like he's to kill us and he's to pray for us. You know, pray at executions. But now he's one of us because now we know that he's gay.
میتونم ببینم کنار خودم که برای من خود به عقل داره میخونه.
Farid, not his real name, left Iran 1 month ago. He is not out to his family and doesn't
So
want
it's not even his real name, right? There's of course, Pride magazine with if you're listening, it's a Pride magazine with what's his name on it, Freddie Mercury. Freddie Mercury, when he was a child, he went to boarding school where he was abused all the time by the seniors. And by abuse, I mean he was raped as a child.
to be identified. Do you trust him?
Yeah, so he goes, do you trust this mullah gay person? And he goes, because now he's saying he's gay. It is very difficult. It is very difficult for me to trust him because he is a mullah. Right? So here's like the shit, got something in my eye. Here's the thing. So he's sitting across a person who probably prayed at the execution and probably caught his fellow gay people, men, whatever. Like I said, they concentrate more on the gay men because that's like to them, all right, the main thing. So, but now he's got to sit across from him because this is the very person with blood on his hands that killed people like him and their sexual leaning, right? And he's got to deal with that, like basically your enemy, right? Enemy who killed your friends, who arrested your friends, who sent your friends to be hung. Oh, by the way, because of Islam. And they celebrated them getting hung and murdered because of Islam. Have you ever seen a country where, I mean, like, I know certain places they've done this, and like to this level, where it's publicly execution, where they broadcast it, where they celebrate it, where the priests get around and pray. This is modern day, not some fucking 100 years ago, all that. It's modern day, where we walk around with a supercomputer basically in our hands, with access to all the information in the world. Right. And look at this dude's eyes. He's like, fuck. This is what this is what humanity I destroyed because of my religion. Right? That I destroyed all this person's friends. Maybe it might have been a family member or extended family member, whatever, right? Just because. And not just gay people. Remember, this is just considered gay. But they do it to women. Like they go and, you got your hijab not right. You got your hair showing under. Well, do it right or we're going to arrest you. We're going to break your fingers off. So you understand that you don't do it this way again. Or we will go and, whip you with a cane. So the marks can remind you. Oh, but like, fuck, man, Western men are so horrible, though. All that misogyny, all those incel people. Wow, man, like, the West is so horrible because they tell me to smile or tell me to lose some weight, or, or don't put on some makeup. You might look nicer without makeup. Fuck, those guys are so horrible. They're fucking misogynists. But this is real misogyny. Total control over your sexuality, over your the way you wear your hair, the music you listen to. I grew up in an atmosphere where they were part of the fears and lies. It was very painful. Now the mullah is saying, former mullah, whatever. No, he's still a mullah. He's wearing the crown. He's wearing the garment of their punishment, right? He's wearing the costume of their, or I should say the uniform, right, of their villains, right? of their overlords. And the thing is, he takes it off when he goes to the gay bar, but he walks around with it when he's outside. See, he doesn't even want to be normal dressed outside, but he wants to wear the, the mullah, the authority outside. He can't just be a normal man walking around outside. See, the guy's still holding on to his Islam while sitting with, in the daytime, but sitting with the gay man, the people that whose friends he probably killed or arrested or sent to the gallows.
عذاب آوره از بعضی از افرادی
Neither LGBT nor religious people accept me. Some Iranian LGBT do not trust me. Well, why should they? Right? You're saying you're a mullah, the person who punished them, and you won't let that go. Yet you want these people, these guys here, and their community to trust you. It's the hypocrisy of the fucking thing. I wouldn't trust you.
که مثل خودم هستن پذیرش نمیشم.
Really don't change.
Yeah, but that's the sad part, isn't it? Like, nobody trusts you. Not the fact that those people have lost their lives. That guy's friend probably got murdered by you, got hung by you. This is what that's what I was saying earlier about that guy we played the first video with that dude who was 18 years old, came over 16 years old, did a visa from India to study, and then killed a 19-year-old. And then he was like, "Oh, I did my time. 6 years in prison. I did my time. I deserve better. I deserve to stay here in America after 6 years in prison."
خیلی اون روز
So not in the sorry, what did he just say, John?
بوده خب این خودش عذاب آوره
It is very
از
much
بعضی از
Nobody
افرادی که
trusts
مثل خودم هستن پذیرش نمیشم.
Really don't change.
خیلی اون روز
Yeah, he goes, will change? Not in the near future. I won't see that day in my life. Yeah, because people like you will not allow it to change because you still wear the garments of punishment. And like I said, please, go subscribe, go, watch some videos over at Atheist Republic. Really, really cool channel, and tells you exactly what's happening in Iran right now, what they're doing to the women there, and what the women are doing in return to get their freedom back, or to be just free.
100% اون روز من نخواهم دید.
The city of 1,000 mosques is Taha's temporary home before he goes to his final destination.
1,000 mosques, and that's how many they're going to have. Like in UK, they're going to have that in Denmark and everywhere because that's what they want. Just I just remember this song it's like build a parking lot, concrete paradise, whatever it is, but they want to build a mosque everywhere. That's why they do that by even though they have mosques, hundreds of mosques in every country now, they will pray in the streets to show dominance. They'll go out, walk out into the middle of the road in groups, and they'll stop the cars and get down on their knees and pray to Mecca, to show dominance. Like I said, misogyny and control.
Canada. His new life in exile makes him think about his future. Will Iran ever accept Taha the way he is, or is he too gay to be mullah and too mullah?
That's the thing, right? This is the weirdest. Like I said, he still wears the uniform of the gay people's murderers. It's a joke. It just feels like a joke. It's like it's like a Nazi saying, "Well, I'm a Jew now, but I will still wear the Nazi garments, right? I'll still walk around with my swastika, right? And I'll still hold my SS uniform, and I wouldn't trust him with it. Maybe he's right. I mean, for the fact that you won't give up those garments because it offers you privilege, it feels like a grift. Let me see what else I got. Before we finish up here, I think there's one I want to show about the actual. Is it that one? No, not that one. Yeah, we'll do a second part, I think. But But I have one. No. Where are you? I had this really a short video, a couple of them, which was really so that's from that other one that's going to come up later. No. Community spiritual. No. Dang it. Where is it? Apologies, guys. I usually, like I said, there's like sometimes I grab a whole bunch. I mean, like I try to grab the links, have it together, and then like sometimes they get misplaced amongst it all, amongst all the links and the bookmarks. Is this one? All right. So this is from 2 years ago, and I will finish with this one. Let me grab the link. I mean, the video tab. Present. Trying to see it around my mic and the webcam. All right, here we go. Right, so this is fear and survival, being being gay, right, and trans in Iraq. This is from 2 years ago from the BBC. Link in the chat. And let's have a quick little interlude, should I?
Your new stereo.
Oh, great.
I'll replace the windows.
Thanks.
That's ridiculous!
So that's it? Any more research?
I remember my childhood. When first I was a little child, I didn't have makeup to paint my eyebrows and my lipsticks. And then that day, my older sibling came in and saw me with that. And the first reaction he actually slapped me in the face.
Why should I live? They don't get it. I should die. It's better, it's easier, it doesn't take a lot of energy, it doesn't take a lot of struggles, It doesn't take like explaining myself for millions of times. So I was like, that's the only way out. Like, sometimes you get exhausted and you have to choose an easy way because you're exhausted, you don't have any more energy left.
All of them, they talk in front of you, like since when you were a child, that to be with another man as a man, it's really bad. And they will really be judgmental. They may kill you. They may do a lot of bad stuff physically to you. They'll punish you, report you to the court, to the police. So you will be traumatized just from the idea. Not, I should act like, yeah, I'm into girls, not into boys. Because I just wanted to protect myself.
Here in Iraq and Kurdistan, being gay
gay can get you killed. And that's not the only threat. There are the sexual assaults, the fact that it's almost impossible to get and keep a job. And every day, living a life that means you can never be who you really are. This is what that feels like.
I remember last time when we had an event and I was dressing, and then after the event, I actually didn't go by the dress, but I kept the wigs on. I was horrified myself. It was like 1 a.m. I was driving in my own car. I had also my friends with me, but I was still very concerned that somebody will recognize me as security at the gate, that they will recognize me and they will say, okay, we know this car, but we do not recognize this person.
Isn't it interesting? Like in the West, they say that like, oh, it's so hateful towards gays and queers and trans people. The dude's scared of actually, walk into his own house because he had a wig on. He forgot to take his wig off. It's weird how like the mental gymnastics of the politics and the trans and gay activists have ruined society, Western society, for the acceptance of in the West. But just like in the 90s was just acceptable. Like, yeah, okay, dude's gay. All right, cool. All right, cool. And now it's where like they've gotten so aggressive to where people have actually turned on people on the same thing that they were happy with in the 90s to now being against them this much because of the very activism of the trans community, not the gay community, but the trans community. That they want to because see, adults, like normal adults, don't give a fuck about gays and queers and whatever, because like, hey, as long as you don't harm anybody, you're fine. Just don't fucking push your shit on me, right? That's how normal people are. But the moment you start saying, well, we got to have these in the schools, we got to have these in your TV, you got to have this in every book, you got to have this in the stores, you got to have it in the shops, you got to have this in the churches, that's when they go on now. Because before that, it was all fine. The 90s was pretty cool, man. Like, you could fucking nobody give a shit. Really, nobody should. But here comes the last 15, 20 years. It was like all these, YouTube, social media, grooming areas and all that. Now everybody's got to be an activist because you got to be seen. But like in the end, before, like you were seen and nobody really give a fuck. Right? Nobody really give a shit. All right. But now everybody who doesn't accept you or whatever is now they're a homophobe. Right, or they're transphobe, and so the trans activists have gotten to a point where they've turned the very people that were okay with them against them. Is that crazy? Like, it's just the crazy, right? Even the normal gay people, like people who just want to live their lives, are against that shit. They're like, what the fuck did you do to us? We were so cool, man. Like, everything, we worked so hard to make it cool, and then you guys just flipped the table and made everything worse again. But no, the West is evil, right?
So it was a horrible feeling. It was, I couldn't feel safe at all to be outside, but I tried it just out of, I think, challenge of wanting to go. And I always had this hope that I could, I'm glad that I've been able to do it.
Dude can't even show his face on camera. And out here, we've got people on YouTube, on Twitter, on Facebook, and anything social, especially TikTok, trying to get little children to trans, right? Their gender, whatever, pronouns and shit, like very young, to take hormones. Here in Iraq, the guy can't even show his fucking face.
In this safe space that I created for myself. But outside there, I cannot even imagine.
See, he can't even do that outside his house, right? And, like I said, the Islamists are clowning on LGBT in the West. But it's all right. Keep wearing your clown masks and stuff, and and when they find out where you live and stuff, when they are, and when they have enough around, they'll come and hunt you down. You'll find out. There was a school in UK, where public school in UK, where they had like the rainbow flag, whatever fuck, and and there would, stuff happened, and all the Muslim people came up and said, "You ain't doing shit. Take this shit out of our children's thing. Remove all that shit out of the school." It was like a huge protest. All the Muslims came up, parents, children, everybody, older kids came out in Britain. No, we're not going to have that. And no pride flag, whatever the fuck, at all. Nothing like that at all in a public school in UK. Right?
How horrible could be.
This is the only place that Queen can really be herself without fear of violence, inside her own home. She carefully gathers her closest friends and the tools she needs to transform herself physically into the woman she is within. These are the small, secret spaces where Kurdistan and Iraq's LGBTQ community can express themselves. Doing it in the outside world is too dangerous, but there are always risks. You have worked really hard to create a safe space for people, haven't you?
In his own house. In the West, there weren't, safe spaces, activists want safe spaces every single place. Right. But this dude's just like, the only place I feel safe with, with my other gay friends, whatever, trans friends, is in my house. And she's like, "Oh, you really created a safe space for everybody." It's like, do you realize I can't get outside like this? I can't live. I'm a prisoner in my own house, in my own body, in here. And that's where my friends only feel safe, in this environment. Can you see, lady? I can't even show you my face. Here's a problem, because the whole house has been shown. So let's just say his family members saw this, and they recognize the house. Google search all that bullshit. It's like the insanity of like the modern West. Don't understand the seriousness of other places, and this is why like we did this channel, just so you guys can see. Not this channel, but like we talk about the shit, just so you guys can see what else is out there, right? And what's happening to people around elsewhere. Because, Western people are just very blind, willfully, and sometimes, like purposefully ignorant, or just don't want to learn, or don't go out to find anything new, or anything to like really what's behind the fucking news, right?
It requires a lot of thought. It requires a lot of process. I really have to make sure and check who's coming in that party.
I didn't notice, but even his voice has changed. All right, he's like a mobster, like giving, he's about to go to court, so he's giving confession, and like telling you what he, what things, like, got to hide his face.
Or in that event, do I know them enough? If I don't know them enough, does one of the people that I'm inviting know them well enough? And then only I can, because it's also a responsibility. It's not just a safe space that I invite people to. No, it's a safe space for me, but I want a safe space for others. The responsibility is a lot. The risk is a lot, because I still live in this country. I am not far away from my family. My family are not okay with anything has to do with with my gender expression or my gender identity or my sexuality. And in their eyes, in their mind, they still think that they have this grown-up man who is working and independent. That's all they know. They really do not know and have information about.
Interesting where he got the trans flag from, right? Or did he make it himself? Because you couldn't even have that there, right? So he must have made it himself. Otherwise, why? How the hell did he? Because look, if you listen to him, like how afraid he is, all right, that the only place he feels safe is inside his apartment, and the only place he's able, that other people are okay to get together is inside his apartment, right? And he won't leave his apartment dressed up like this.
My personal life. And I don't think they need to know because I think they're not ready. But still, that doesn't mean that I will stop living my true self. Because like I said, I lived long enough as my society wanted me to, but not as I wanted to. So I'm ready to take those risks and I'm happy to when I can, when it's not compromising of my own safety, when it's done smartly in spaces that I can guarantee my own safety and my people's safety.
It isn't illegal to be trans here, like Queen. It isn't illegal to be gay either. Having a
By the way, she's calling her Queen not because that's a real, the name she goes by. She's just calling her Queen just to, play the whole mind fucking game that they do. These journalists do, because he's not going to give his real name, because the name he will go by when he's out there in the community, not in like normal society, but like in his private community, because otherwise he's screwed. But she's trying to be the rather than calling him whatever some other female name, she's calling him Queen.
relationship with another man or woman doesn't break any laws, but the social stigma is huge. If you ask why, you'll get different answers: community, tradition, religion, but intolerance is everywhere. An LGBTQ support group created these street paintings to promote harmony. Within weeks, thick black paint was thrown across the rainbows and the women's faces. They've been left like that as a daily reminder that change is still far away. Queen isn't the only one who's suffering here. There are thousands just like her, living their lives in fear. Each day brings a new battle, and sometimes it's over the simplest things. Vareen.
All right, we'll end up here, and the link's in the chat, so you guys can check out the rest. And we'll probably do a part 2 because there is some serious violent stuff we'll be covering the second, in the second video, a second stream, whatever. But as we finish off here, thank you for joining me, and I really appreciate you guys hanging out, and thank you for all the new subscribers. I really appreciate it. Trying to grow this channel, as I said, at the start of the year, and it is what it is. We'll get there in time. But hopefully you learned something today, and hopefully it was worth your time. So thank you for hanging out with me, and we'll see you next time. Leave a comment, or whatever. I'll answer as you say. When I see it, I'll try to get to it. But yeah, thank you, and have a good week. If I don't see you this week, have a good, have a good one. It's been 3 hours of my brains are going a bit farty-watty, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And on the way out, let's play a little clip. Where is it? I should have added that as my outro as well. But let me just get this free. I've been trying to get some little clips, as you saw, because I've always wanted to do clips, but I've never known what clips would work. So I've been trying really hard to come up with little, interesting little clips or whatever intros, and just to break up the monotony of some of these, some of these clips, because they can be a bit, mind effing, especially hearing about people's things that they go through and stuff. So yeah, let's do this, and we'll see you next time. Ka kite ano. Have an amazing day, evening, night, morning, wherever you are. See you next time. Catch ya.
Nope, 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 nope. Can't stay here anymore. I gotta get back. I think this was the spot. Oh Lord, I beseech thee, please return me to my old life. I swear I'll do anything. Like, literally anything. And I won't bother you again, so pretty please bring me back to life.